Okay. So, hello, everybody. Today we've got the 2024 Men's Juniors Ranking Show. We are going to rank our top 10 juniors for 2024. We've got on Big Body again, and we've got on, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Ilya Marichov. And we are going to start from number 10 and move our way up to who we consider the number one junior in 2024. So I'll start with my number 10 lifter. So this is actually very difficult to make. This list was so hard. There are so many lifters in the juniors this year that were really strong. So I'm going to have to leave a lot of people off this list that are very deserving. At number 10, I went with a lifter who did not compete internationally this year, but he was the second strongest 83 junior. His name was Alex Lucko. So Alex Lucko, he's an 83 from the U.S. He totaled 810, which was a very, very good competition. He pulled for, I believe he tried to hit 830 at his meet on his third deadlift and missed it. But he was on the drinks last year. He's extremely strong lifter. He has a 550 dots, which 550 dots for a junior is very impressive. I believe this year he's going to be going to PA Nats. I am not sure whether he's still a junior. I think he has one more year in the junior. So if he does, we'll get to see him, but I'm not sure about that one. So he's who I have at number 10. Big Body, who do you have for your number 10 lifter?
Okay, so I'm going to work to preface here as best as I can and be as quick as I can about it. First, before I do that, I'm just going to give my honorable mention really quick in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
There
that's a
are,
good idea. After you do this, maybe you know what? Yeah, after you do it, I'll give
want to
them
give
a. We
yours?
could all. No, no, no. You know what? You could give them now, and then maybe I'll give them a lead, or like if when you
Okay.
mention somebody who I don't have on my list, like I'll mention them, or at the end I'll
Okay.
mention them.
The people that stand out for me. So, first of all, when I did the sub juniors list, I'm going to let everyone know I did that on the fly during the stream. With this list, I actually had a day to actually do my planning. Um, and it's still going to be kind of similar with the criteria that I have, but there are so many phenomenal lifters around the world. And I'm just going to give in my honorable mention Joseph McDonald, Jalen Falk, Lucky, Gabriel Belomo, um, Brandon Jones, Richmond Biden, Manson. I'll explain why later in my list, why Manson is not on my top 10. Jaden Edwards, Josh Ngoka. I have Jacob Nielsen from the 93s. He was
Yeah, yeah.
projected 14 and he ended up finishing ninth, right on top of Aiden Roeder. And I felt like that was worth noting. I just wanted, obviously, it's going to be biased. It's my guy. I'm shouting him out. I think
Yeah.
he
He's a good
outperformed his
he's a
projected.
good kid. I met him at Worlds in
Yeah,
Malta
yeah,
in
yeah,
2023. He's a
yeah.
really nice kid.
Yeah, yeah. He also had one of the heaviest junior squats at Junior Worlds too. So that's also something to note. But for number this is such a hard list, man. This is such a hard list. And to be honest, like Ilya, I wanted to put you on this list. I wanted to put you on this list. I literally, if anything, like, can I put him like tied at 10? Or
Well, you'll see where I have him on my list. I'll tell you where I have him. It's nowhere near 10. Let's just
okay,
say.
so I'm gonna give my criteria and then I'm gonna get back to you, Ilya, real quick. So my
Okay.
criteria, it's based off of championships, podium finishes, right? And what level are you finishing on the podium, right? Like, have you ever had an open finish podium? Have you ever had a finishing podium placement in the juniors, sub juniors, whatever case may be, right? Historically. And also, especially this year, right? Because it's 2024. Are you battle tested? How many battles have you been in? the strength of resume, right? The strength of like monsters. Like, have you gone against Perkins? Have you gone against maybe Elliott? Have you guys battled yet? Things of that nature, right? Have you battled anyone in Asia? Have you battled anyone in Russia? Maybe we don't know of, right? And this could also be due to my ignorance. Maybe I don't know if there's more monsters in Russia that you've battled, but I just don't know. And this is going off of what do I know, right? Um, strength of schedule, the wins, also the coefficients, right? Your total, your dots, your GL, the gap of strength comparatively. How many junior or open records do you have, right? Um, and then the age that you're doing this at, for me, that matters. Um, your competing frequency within this year, right? That also matters to me. And I'll explain that later. And so, yeah, and just again, just to finish, coefficients for me will never hold more value than the strength of competition that you're going against at the highest level, like a championship, right? So like NAPFs, Asian regional championships, Euros, all that stuff, those have their rankings and stuff, but then there's the world title or Sheffield. Those are more important to me. So with that being said, it's just so hard. This is so hard. Uh, Ilya, you came out of nowhere, and I literally wanted to put you 10th. And this is not saying that I don't think that you're not going to be, I think you're going to be a problem next year. I think in 2025, I think you're going to be like, you definitely caught the world's attention. And I want to make sure I give you your respect. But because of how I only have so much information on you. And so I'm going to put Ivan Campano at 10th. And the reason why is because of his battle against Waskar, right? And then also the open battles and the ability to be able to display that type of level of execution. I think he's a great lifter, and I even saw him in person at Junior Worlds, so I had a greater impression on me. And to see him showcase his ability to hold his reign as the best 59 junior in championships, right? Obviously, he has a lot. He has a lower dot score and GL than Ilya, right? But again, I explained how, like, I was talking offline with Big Mike here, talking about how many times it's very easy to go in and express your best strength when you don't have anyone that's pushing you within your class. Therefore, your dots could be subject, or your GL score, or your coefficient, or your performance could be subject to be inflated because you didn't have as much push or chaos or stress on the day, right? Like if you would have had 8 other Ilias that you had to go against, it's going to be a little different. You have to be much more detailed in your attempt selection. So with that being said, with Ivan Campano, I think he just has a little bit more of some of the things on my criteria in terms of like battles, um, competing in the open division, doing it on the world level stage, like the actual world championships. He was in the world championships, open and also juniors, correct? So I just value that. I Does that mean that you're not able to do that next year? I believe you will. I believe we'll see you on the world stage next year for sure. Like easily, right? So, and I think that we are awaiting an amazing battle between you and Elliot. But again, I'm just explaining you, and maybe there's other 74s that's going to come into it too, right? But I'm just explaining why I have my 10th spot. And so I'm just giving it to Ivan. I'm giving it the respects to him winning the junior world championship and within the 59 class. And yeah, that's my 10th spot there.
Okay. I definitely have comments, but I'm going to leave it to when I
Oh,
get
also, I
a.
want to say, if you have comments, like, I don't know if we can do this. I would like to do this. I hear people's opinions and I hear people's reasonings all the time. I actually would like you to voice your guys' opinions. I would like us to go through them if we have time briefly, because it may be a lot of people's, from the general masses, their opinions, and maybe we might cover them and it might give more clarity at least so people could be like, I disagree, but at least I understand clearly why his reasoning is, right? So
Right. So I'll give. I guess I'll give some short ones now, then I'll talk more in depth later. I just do want to point out that while it wasn't at Worlds, Ilya actually faced. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but Chun Sia Fan, who is actually one of the five strongest 74s in the world. So he
absolutely,
actually
I know.
faced
Yeah, I know.
right. So he actually like it wasn't like he went in.
What was his finishing total?
Chun did 780 at 74.
780. Okay, and how many championships does he have
None.
in juniors? Does he have championships within
I
his
don't.
class?
He's not a junior anymore.
I'm saying
No,
he's competed as a junior, right?
I don't think so.
So again, like it's so important because a lot of people take low hanging fruit, and a lot of people have different values, right? So like history, resume, and on top of that, it adds going into this year as well. So it's like obviously he has the battle with the 74s from 2023, right? So that's one to consider. And he placed what? Third, fourth, third,
Um,
or no,
I'm not
fourth,
sure.
fifth,
Or
fifth, fourth,
fourth. Yeah.
fourth. Okay. So like all that, look, he's like, again, you can make the argument. I'm just saying what I value, right? I'm saying what I feel like this was a really hard list. Things are really close. You beat Chunchia fan, right? So like that's very notable. Um I wish you would have been at Junior Worlds. I wish you would have been at Junior Worlds and battling it out with the other 74s. But that's like it's not your fault. And also, this performance came at the very end of the year. It caught me right by surprise. I need to do a better job of not prepping my list with one day of research, right? So again, I'm just giving all the information like I had, this is how I came about my list with the amount of time I had, my criteria, things of that nature. So
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair. I
Um,
mean, I'll talk about it more later. So let's just, yeah, Ilya, you go. Your turn.
okay. So I didn't show my best results, unfortunately, because I prepared in equipment too. So I'm pretty close to the world record in equipment, holding by Yaroslav Oleg. So that's why classic. It's not only um, my division. I'm also competing in equipment and pretty well. So I competed in equipment at the national championship and showed results close to the world record, current world record in total open. And also results of the best lifter in current world championship in equipment. So um, yeah.
Wait,
you are
so
you are you fully are you planning to fully commit to open or to classic non-equipped?
Sorry.
Are you fully committing to non-equipped
Um, uh,
without
Mostly
equipment? Raw lifting?
both.
Are you going to stay with both?
Yeah, I'm competing. So I'm competing since 2014. So I competed both equipment and raw for 10 years. It's basic.
wow, that's actually crazy because now there's not so many lifters who are doing both. So it's good to see lifters who are going to do equipped and classic because like we used to have like on the female side there was like Carola Gara and Agata did both, and on the male side like Shell used to always do both, but now Shell's only classic. So if you can do both, then like that adds like an extra level. Because I mean, to be honest, if you had to ask me all time who is the most dominant powerlifter, there's only one correct answer, and that's Yaroslav Olek. He won how many? What 20 straight championships? like 20, something like 20 straight championships in the
See, but
74.
I have a shtick with that because when was this done?
Until he keeps winning. It's still going.
What, where, like, why isn't that, where's
Equip.
this lifter
It's
from?
equipped.
Oh, equip.
Yeah. So he doesn't lift raw. I'm saying
Okay.
Yaroslav wins equipped every he lost to Shell I think one time and then just came back keep winning. He's won I believe it's like 20 21 21 championships. So like of course right now classic is more competitive than equipped. There's no argument like all overall. But to win 21 times that's like that's next level. But we'll talk about equipped. It's a
That's a
different
whole other conversation.
yeah, that's a whole different
That's, I
conversation,
have
right?
so many things I want
If
to say,
we
but
yeah,
this is not the
if we mix
podcast.
yeah, if we mix equipped also, then like we'd be here for
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
a million years. So
yeah.
let's just yeah, so let's get back to the
Morning, Elliot. What's up?
Good morning.
God dang it. God dang it.
I forgot it was this early. I was actually on my computer like
It's
researching,
earlier.
and then
It's earlier over here.
yeah,
what
he's on
time is it for you?
It's 6:33.
Big body up and early,
I
up and
have
at 'em.
this much sleep, that much sleep, that much.
I still got my 8 hours. I slept in for.
oh, okay, that's good. That's
Beautiful.
good.
I wish so. I wish I did. All right.
So we'll
He's got to
we'll
give
just
his
fill you
comment.
in. We
Or his
started. I
quick.
gave my number 10. Big Body gave his number 10, and Ilya's about to give his number 10. We were just talking a little bit about our
Who were
criteria.
who were your
Uh,
twos, number
oh,
10s?
so mine was Lucky, and
Okay, yeah, I saw him.
his was Ivan Campano.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Ilya, who do you have for your number 10 lister?
I would agree. To be honest, um, yeah. Sorry. Campana Diaz is on 10 place. He is pretty strong lifter, but obviously, 59 kilo class is not the most. Uh, it's not so huge results on it. I would say I don't want to discriminate the lifters, but obviously, only even Sergey Fedosienko not showing solid results. I would say, in contrast with 74, Austin Perkins, who did 8:36 and 659. It's great. It's great. He's third on the Open World Championship. Finished silver. Great junior lifter, but it's all about results in a contrast with the other kilo classes. I agree. He's on 10 plates.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's actually it's always good when we have two people who have the same person. That means that we're making sure that we're having good lists because that means there's the same thought process. I'll just say I did not have him on my top 10. I have him as an honorable mention for the same reason Ilya just mentioned, which is that he's a great junior lifter. He won junior world, came third at the Open. But for me, the 59 class is just it's not like competitive enough. That's how I would say right now. Like we have like Sergey who is coming back, who's the best 59 ever. Then we have Wasker, who's won the last two world championships. But after that, like the 600 at 59 is very good, right? But to be honest, I think it's actually funny. It's perfect with Ilya on this for this. Ilya basically did 600 at 59 as a sub junior. So like if the open like podium is not really even like beating like sub juniors, then like that means that the class is not like it's not as competitive as it should be.
Another thing too that I'm factoring in, like that adds to the point that I'm saying. Sorry to interrupt very quickly. Is just that he also had Kweku and my man from France that he was battling. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that is an element that I consider, like on the
Right.
day. You know what I'm saying? So I just
No,
sorry.
of course. No.
That's true.
Listen, we all know, of course, you're right. We all know at Worlds, your total tends to be a little bit lower than it'll be at other things. That's a fact because the most important thing is winning. But I'm just saying, I'm not even talking about his performance. I'm talking about the class in general. Just like, it's not like, we'll see, like, we'll discuss it, not so much in this episode, but like, there are certain classes that if you look at over the last couple of years, like the world record has blown up. Like, they've gotten like more competitive versus other classes where we have some classes where like the 59 world record has been standing for years and years. I mean, Sergey did it in like, I think it was like 2017 or 2016. Like, it's the only record in classic law that is like been around for years. Every other record has been broken in like the last 2 or 3 years. So no disrespect to the 59. It just they are going to level up. They just haven't done it yet. So let's continue with number 10. Elliot, who do you have for your number 10 lister?
I am currently, just because obviously I did not realize it was this early.
Do your best. Do your best.
So I am.
The sub juniors,
I
went on the fly.
I'm locking.
I was going on the fly.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, because I have to knock someone down, like, I'm looking at the list and like, I was like, I'm gonna bump Austin Nikolai up, but I don't think that would be bumping him up enough just because of how rough GL is, right? Like, he dotted like 547. So if we were to go by dots, he'd literally be like fifth. That's like ridiculous. But like, I don't want to bump him off by changing the criteria because like at the end of the day, it is the IPF, right? Like it is based off of good lift points. So I don't want to bump him up too much.
Oh yeah, you can say your criteria.
My criteria is going to be one, how they do at Worlds generally, like, because I think like going to Worlds is a big deal, right? One, it's everyone competing at the same time at the biggest stage. So I think it's the best like head-to-head comparison. It's what's going to get you to all the other stages, right? It's what's going to get you to like Sheffield and like for the most part, what's going to get you to like those big stages and make the biggest impact in the sport. But I don't want to go purely by Sheffield because obviously we have someone on this list that is like way, way up at the top here by like a huge margin that didn't get to go to Worlds due to some circumstances. So I don't want to. I mean, we have a few people like, so obviously I don't want to do it purely off that. So same as last time, it's kind of a cross comparison between best performance and Worlds, and like if the Worlds performance or if the best performance is good enough to like bump them up that list, you know what I mean? Despite not going to Worlds maybe or not doing as well at Worlds. So let me think. I think I'm going to put Nathaniel Messiah at my number 10. He did really good. Funny enough, I think he technically dotted or pointed less than Brandon Jones.
How is that? Someone explain that to me.
He weighed in at like 92.8.
Oh yeah.
And then Brandon Jones weighed in at like 92 flat.
Yeah, the 0.5 dots or total.
Wait, let me just interject for a second. I think we could all agree that if you're in the same weight class,
and someone beats you, it doesn't matter.
Formula. Can we all agree on that?
But that's a perfect example, right? Like he won, but he has a slightly smaller dots.
That's what I'm saying. But that's within the same weight class. We could all agree that within the same weight class, we don't care about the formula. The point of formula is to compare, let's say, like a 66 or like a 74 and a 120, because you can't look at totals when you're talking about a 74 and a 120. Obviously, the total more. So that's when you use formula, right? Like,
bro, no dots in the jungle, bro.
If a 74 out totals, I'm saying if a 74 out totals 120, we wouldn't. This whole conversation wouldn't even happen. we would know who the GOAT is. But yeah. So okay, so Nathaniel, you have him at number 10. Okay.
I mean, he had a great performance. It was really, really intense between him and the others. There's a few people that I think go above him in this list, but like he's pretty new. Was this? Let's see. I mean, only his second Worlds, right? So like, that's pretty crazy. Especially going against like some pretty solid lifters. Like Brandon Jones is no joke. He's going up to 105 this upcoming year, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough, but like, but I mean, he's got that dog in him, and I think it'll be cool to see what he does. There's just a lot of talented people, so I don't know if I can necessarily put him higher on my list, but he definitely deserves his spot in the top 10. Some people may put him higher, and I have no arguments to that. Like very commendable lifter.
Okay. So I'll move to my number 9. My number 9 is interesting. So at number 9, I have Manson Adogu. So it was hard for me to figure out where to place him. So he had a great year. He did 8025 to win the 83s. The reason I knocked him down a little bit in this list. Number one is because we have a couple other 83s that didn't compete against him who have higher totals. But also the other thing is I knocked him down one slot on the list because he had a great battle at Junior World with Gabriel Belomo, but they rematched at Euros and he lost that one. So since he didn't win both of his like we talk about Worlds being the most competitive battle, and usually it is. But if you have the same matchup twice with someone and you split, you go 1-1 instead of winning both, then that's very good. You still won the more important one, but it takes it down a tiny notch for me. So I would have had him at number 8, but I moved him down one slot because he was 1-1 in battles. But he's a phenomenal lifter. And in fact, he's put up the biggest junior 83 total we've seen in a bunch of years on the international side. Like we have some people who've done it bigger at home, but international, like the last few years, the winner at Junior World totaled under 800 every year. So to break into the 800 back in 800 is still a great performance and definitely worthy of my top 10. Big Body, what do you got?
So, oh man, again, this is like, I'm going to say this every time. This is really hard. I know last time there were sub juniors that I did not put on the list that did not compete at Worlds, but now I'm going to give more context to justify why I have lifters that did not go to Worlds compete on that stage and win a world title or podium, right? I have Luke McCain at 9. And let me explain why. He went to USAPL Open Nationals, right? And he won, right? He won. I believe he won USAPL Open Nationals.
And yes.
I know I know that he didn't perform his best. I know that he was dealing with some like cramps and stuff of that nature. I don't know if it was stomach issues or cramps. I'm aware of all those considerables. Luke McCain, if him and his coach ever watch this, I want them to know that they are a tandem that I have never overlooked. I will never forget. I will always be aware of. I will always keep tabs on them. Like always, if they ever post anything, I'm watching it. And I have tremendous amount of respect for Luke. If Luke was at Junior Worlds, I know that I'm not attempt selecting what I did on the day, right? And that goes back to my argument about Austin Nikolai, our plan was to try to make a case for Sheffield. So Luke McCain being there would have changed the plan, right? A
lot, yeah.
Right? But also he could very easily be well up. But the thing is a part of my criteria, he wasn't at Junior Worlds. He's going to be in PA now, as far as I understand. But for 2024, he wasn't there. He was at Open. Like we can make the case easily that USAPL Open Nationals is not now PA Open Nationals nor PA Opens, right? So with that being said, there's just so many things on my criteria. My criteria list is dynamic and it's complex. It's a lot of things, right? So with that being said, Luke McCain still is a very dangerous junior. He won the Open with other Open national level lifters and world level lifters not there anymore. And so again, you don't have a Brian Lee there, a John Garcia there, a Austin Nikolai. I can go on and on and on.
Daniel.
I'm sorry.
Daniel Clements.
Daniel Clements. I can go on and on. If I didn't name you, you're a dog. Trust me, we're not forgetting about this. There's so many US 66s, right, that were not there at USAPL Open. However, he as a junior is on that he hit 700. So he's on that 700 threshold. And I know that I'm willing to bet easily that in training, he's probably added up, like within training, each lift adds up to something well over the world record. I would like to believe. He's a phenomenal lifter, super strong. And the 66, another thing too, to the criteria, the 66 class is incredibly stacked from the junior to the Open and on a world level state, like around the world. There are 66s everywhere that are capable of 700 and above, right? So, I mean, there's just so much to the reasoning. But to just wrap it up, I have Luke McCain there. He's a very strong lifter. He's dangerous. And I have him more impactful within his class, although not being at Junior Worlds. And there's so many things that can kind of like have a little bit more strength over the other. So it could seem contradictory. But again, like with this, like I'm saying that Luke McCain has shown enough. And again, this is hard, right? Because it's like there's so many moving parts, but Luke McCain has showed enough. And I battled with Austin against Luke, right? So like I also have that in-person knowledge. He's done enough to where he doesn't have to be at Junior Worlds for me to leave him off the list, right? So I have him at 9th. And as I go deeper in my list, things will make more sense. They'll seem less contradicting if they seem contradicting right now.
Yeah. So I actually, since I don't have my list, I also want to just mention him as an honorable mention. I'll add in a few factors. One thing we didn't mention, which is even more crazy, is Luke's in his first year in the juniors. So he just came out of the sub juniors. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy that Luke totaled 700. I believe he was a sub junior and he was already putting up like the Open, like close to the Open world record. So I didn't have him on my list just because the 66s, they're too close. Like there's too many lifters that are very close. Where on my list, I only had room to have 166 in my top 10. And as good as Luke was, I think we probably all agree that if we have 166, it's not going to be him on this list. So he definitely deserves it. He definitely, if I structured my list differently, he definitely could have been on it. But yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out as an honorable mention. Okay. So continuing with number 9, Ilya, who do you have as your number 9?
I would put Antonio Perez. It's a good Spanish lifter. So he did 866. I believe it was on the European Championship. So he broke some records. He has very good perspectives. So yeah, I would put he's on a 9th place. So was a 105. I remember he's competed in a sub junior 2019 European sub junior championship in a 93. Now he is 105. He did 866. It's a pretty solid result. Pretty strong progress. So I believe, and he's competing in a European and World Championship. It's pretty important, and he's showing this result in this competitions. So yeah, I think he's a good contender for the 9th place. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't have him on my list either, but that's a good. He was also on my like earlier list when I narrowed down. I believe he took the the squat world record in the juniors. He squatted 330. He took it actually at Junior Worlds, and then he took it again at Euros. So that also adds like that gives him like extra points. Like when you're like a high level lifter and you not only go compete at Worlds, but you do well at Worlds, and then you come back to Euros. Like there are lifters who like they do well at Worlds, and then Euros they kind of like sandbag, right? You know, they just they win against worse competition, and they don't like put up a big meet, right? We've all seen that, right? We've seen a lifter who like does, let's say they'll do like, let's say 800 at Worlds, and then they'll go to Euros and they'll do like 730, and like they'll basically take openers, right? Very common. But he went to Euros and he actually improved on his world performance, rebroke his squat world record. So definitely a good lifter. I believe he's still a junior for next year. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think he is. So we'll get to see what he can do next year. Good pick. Elliot, who do you have for number 9?
I have Nonso Chinye for number 9. So he could be a lot higher on this list. I think obviously scoring criteria is pretty tough when you're that large. So I'm giving him kind of, because like if you go by like who we have on this list, he might be at like 10th or something. But the fact of one, it's his first year as a junior, correct?
Yeah.
2, he's totaling that much. If you look at it relative to the Open, especially considering his attempt selection like could have been different if he hadn't just jumped from 385.5 to what was it, like 411? That's or no, 411, right to 411. So given that, like, you know, like I think it's fair to say that like he could have technically totaled more, and it wasn't necessarily from like someone pressuring him or having to make that jump, but that like he was like in a position where he could kind of pull whatever. And it wasn't like he wasn't against any good competition. Jaden Edwards, absolute beast, who he was against. But yeah, first year in juniors. 118.3 in body weight in the 120, so he still has some room up there. Absolutely ridiculous total compared to the Opens. I mean, what is the Open record right now? Isn't it like 978-ish?
Yeah, I think it's Dennis's 978.
Yeah, like so to be not necessarily that close, but like he's knocking on the door, you know what I mean? Like he probably could have told like 950. First year of junior, not necessarily filled out all the way. Not sure how much of a difference those 2 kilos could make, but I think he definitely deserves a spot on the list with the total that big.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. Okay, so I think so we all did our number 9. So I will move on to my number 8. So for my number 8, I also have Nonso. So like Ellie just said, he can definitely be higher on this list. It's exactly what he said. It sounds like a lot of the difference between his total and the world record, but we have to realize that like when we get to these 120s, we're not talking about like 66 or 74s. We're talking about like big jumps. Like they take 25 kilo jumps on deadlift. Like one attempt could be the difference between like a world record and like not even making the podium sometimes. So Nonso is in his first year as the juniors. He won Junior Worlds against a strong competitor in Juice, Jaden Edwards. I mean, he's really strong. He is one of the best deadlifters in the world. We will see him probably take more shots at the Open world record deadlift, which as like a first year junior is really crazy. His squat and bench have made insane progress. So I have him at number 8 now. I think definitely he's the youngest person on my list. And he's going to move up the rankings for sure over the next few years. I'm also really excited because the 120s for a while, to be honest, was like kind of one of the more boring spots at World Open and Junior. Like we just didn't have that like high level competitiveness. But right now, like this year, we got to see Nonso versus Jaden Edwards, and that was a good battle,
which was so good.
Next, so Jaden's aging out, but we have coming from Trinidad, We have Joseph McDonald, who was the junior
Oh,
world record holder, and he still has 2 more years in the juniors. So we're gonna get to see him battling out, and also from GB itself, we have 120 plus Joshua Nagoka, who has now completed the cut. He is an actual 120
and
now.
he's
And he's a freak.
improving.
He is a freak. So I think,
dude.
I expect, I don't know the exact how UK makes their teams with like
Well,
who they send to Junior World, but
From what I heard, Notso is going open.
yeah, but you think he's only going to go open and not? First off, he didn't win that, so I don't think he's not going to get that spot. But even if he went open, he can still do both. So I think watching them battle, like Nonso, Joshua, Joseph, like we got 3 young 120 juniors, like 3 120 juniors who all have at least 2 years left in the juniors, who are all above the junior world record totals. And it's going to be like a really good era to see. And also, like, I just want to shout him out. He didn't make my list, but our American Dante De Leon. So he's young. He has an absolute insane squat. Like he squatted like I can't remember off the top of my head. But like
800 million.
Right? Yeah, literally. So and he has 3 more years left in the juniors after this. So like he didn't make the world team this year, but we'll see what route he decides to go. But if he does try to go back and make the world team, he has 3 more years to do it, and like he is a subtotal king. In fact, he actually has a higher subtotal, I think, than any other 120 in the world. Like the junior open anything.
Jeez.
Wow.
Like this wasn't at an IPF meet, but I'll tell you what he just subtotaled at his last meet. At his last meet, he just did. He squatted 387.5 and benched 235 for a 622 and a half subtotal. That is like that is nobody's ever done. I mean, he is like his squat and bench are elite. He has a lot of work to do on the deadlift.
Sure.
Obviously, as like a big boy, sometimes you have like those leverages are not going to be ideal for deadlifts. Like when you're looking at the 120s, the 120s who are the best deadlifters are usually the lankier, like 6'2" guys.
He has less length and more width.
Right. When you watch the 120s, the ones who are going to be the big deadlifters are the 6'2" guys who look like they play tight end, and the ones who are going to be the squatters are the 5'8" guys who look like they played fullback or nose tackle. That's what it's going to be.
DN for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to give him a little shout out while we were talking about Nonso. But yeah, so that's who I have for number 8, Nonso, and we are on to you now, Big Body, for your number 8.
So as I compartmentalize my thoughts, I realized that this is going to make a lot of sense. We got Ivan Campano at 515 dots, right? 99.2 GL. Then my 9th place was where is he? Luke McCain with the 548 dots and 109 GL, right? And you know, easily, right? Because people are so big into numbers, right? The low hanging fruit. They say those guys are not even, they don't even have the coefficient score that Ilya has, which is 570 dots and 115.5 GLP, right? But one of the things that I look at is it's not even Ilya's fault necessarily. Ilya, you have an Elliott Sykes and a Perkins out there in your class. And again, this is not attacking Ilya. I'm just saying comparatively competing at the high competition, high level competition, multiple dogs in your class, right? I'm just explaining my criteria so it makes more sense. Where do you rank in your class when you're at the highest level against all the dogs on the same platform on the same day, right? Campano is much lighter, but he has gone against Waskar. He has gone against Kwaku. He has overcame those guys. And so therefore, and Campano also went against there's like this 42-year-old veteran in the 59s who has also, like, in my opinion, a respectable total 459, right? And He's from Ecuador, I believe. And you know, within his class, he is of the top in his class and has had multiple battles. He's got the junior world, two junior world titles now, right? So it's like I am considering everything from what they can control and what they've been able to show up and face. I think it makes a lot more sense. Hopefully, does that make sense the way I'm explaining it, guys? Like
Yeah.
obviously 74s pound for pound, we can make the argument that like dominate coefficients, right? It's like not even close, right? You guys' coefficients are like out of this world, right? And then you just go down one notch or down two notches to the 59s, and it's not as competitive in terms of coefficients. But I also do see slowly the 59s are having more lifters slowly come up, right? Like before there wasn't a Kwaku, right? Before there wasn't the guy, there's a couple of French, really good French 59 guys. So slowly but surely, you're starting to slowly see people that are capable of 600 plus in the 59 class, right? But I mean, you could also make the argument in the 74s that there's such a large gap between like all of you guys are top, right? And obviously you're still young, but you have Perkins, who's the only one that's like
just
literally
860
getting closer to 900, right? So you can make that argument. But anyways, I'll get to my 8th pick. Hopefully this makes sense. Like, I hope this makes sense on how I'm coming about with this logic. Like, I just want to know, do you guys get where I'm coming from?
I get what you're coming from.
Okay. Yeah, of course. I mean, we're all going to have different criteria, and they're all valid. Like I'm saying, I don't, obviously my list I think is going to be the best because I made it, right? obviously, I'm saying that doesn't mean that I think that my criteria is the only criteria.
His list.
Right? I can look at a list, right? I can look at 20 different lists. Some of them I'll be like, that's a really good list. I just disagree. Some of them I might look at it and be like, that's a really bad list. That might happen. I don't mean our list. I'm saying like in theory, right? Like think like this, right? Big body, right? We're in the chat, in our chat, right? People make some of the wildest takes all the time. Sometimes people make takes that I'm like, I disagree, but that's valid. Sometimes people make takes and I'm like, bro, what are you smoking and where can I get some of that?
Yeah. I'm at least trying to bring like context, reasoning, and logic. Like how are you even coming with this? Well, I'm explaining thoroughly at least, right? But for number 8, I have Messiah. And I don't have Brandon Jones on here. Had he had one, he would have taken Messiah's place. I'm a huge Brandon Jones fan. I think that he has a lot of upside in the 93s. He's a phenomenal lifter. He's a great guy. He barely got second, right? I think he got chipped by like what, 2.5?
0.5.
0.5?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that was a battle. There was a lot of 93s in there. We were looking at Aiden Roeder to hit podium, right? Like, you know, there was Richmond from France. There was Brandon Jones. There was Nathaniel Messiah. So we see how like that changes a lot. You're not going in there. You're not just running a script where it's like, all right, we're just going to hit our maxes, right? No. You need to hit the winning total number. You have to lock in the best total number, right? You have more pressure to hit your heaviest but most accurate number to standard on the highest level, right? So
there's something to that for sure.
What was that?
There's something to that for sure.
Yes, it's a real element. It's a real thing. We cannot put coefficients over that element. That element is nothing. There's nothing like when you're in the gym and you're able to hit inflated numbers, especially if you only lift that lift on its day. It is completely different when you have to fully exert with all these other elements that you really can't practice for unless you compete often or have competed enough. So with anyways, Messiah, I think he came in, you can make the argument that he stole the win. And he came in, he did what he needed to do. He put up a phenomenal performance. The performance was, where is he at? Why did I lose him? If you guys want to chime in, let me. Oh, Nathaniel Messiah. So 539 dots, 110.7 GL, and
845.5, yeah.
845.5 at 93. So it's like that's a great performance.
For sure.
The dots may vary and the coefficients may vary, but it's also about like he came in with, even of all the people mentioned right now, he had the most competition that he had to deal with. You can make the argument that he had the most chaos, the most stress that he had to deal with, stay focused, lock in, hit those big lifts, and execute. And those are also other elements that I consider when it comes to being one of the best lifters in the world, especially in the junior division. So I have Nathaniel Messiah from Team GB in my A spot.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to add this because I already put him on my list, but I didn't mention this. Like, when we say it was a tough battle, like, I was talking to Messiah and everyone and the head coach, and they were like, yeah, like, I mean, what was his final pull? Let's see. 360.5. They said his top end was like 362, maybe a little higher. So, like, when it was a tight battle, it was like if Brandon had, like, I mean, because he missed a squat, right? So, like, it literally basically came down to a miss. So it was a very, very, very tight battle. So both very talented guys for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to add anything more now because I'm going to bring him up pretty soon after. But okay, so let's move on to number 8. Elliot, who do you have at number 8?
Who do I have at number 8? So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place Manson at number 8. He was very impressive, obviously. 111.1, 802.5 at 83. And then actually, hold on, let me check something. Yeah, so like you were saying, he has some room in the juniors, right? Correct?
Manson?
Oh no, is this his last year?
Manson has one more year.
One more year, right. So he has one more year in the juniors. There is an 83 obviously on this list that is at a huge different level, but I think the fact that he went to Worlds and he won is still like he deserves a spot on the list, right? And like even if we do include this other 83 on this list, he's still pretty high up there. There's some other people on the list that I think if we go to dots coefficient, we'll place them a little bit higher, especially with how much room they have left in the juniors. But he definitely still deserves a spot on the list. Did a pull for the win, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very impressive performance. I watched it live myself and recorded it. It was super cool to watch him lift. Obviously, loses a few spots, like you said earlier, because came second at Euros. Now I don't want to say that as like a looking down on the lifter, because like you also have to realize like they have like a month between huge battle. Yeah, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying in general, like this isn't like saying you were like dumping on him or anything, because I did the same thing and dropped him criteria because of it. But like I also want to acknowledge the fact that like it's not like an easy thing to do, right? Like it's a month apart after like the biggest competition for your life, and if you're in Manson's position, it wasn't like an easy like RP7 meet, no stress. Like he went in and he battled and like left everything on the table. You know what I mean? So to come back and bounce back and go to Euros, it's gonna be difficult. No matter what way you twist it, right? But obviously, like I can't just ignore the fact that you went down to placing at Euros to it was the same dude that he beat, Gabriel. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 8.
Okay. Ilya, who do you have at number 8?
I would agree with Elliot. I would put Manson on the 8th place. So yeah, I watched this battle of the 83 kilo class. Yeah, his he get his win on the very, very last attempt on the deadlift. So and finished with 800 and 2.5 kilo total. So this is very respectable. By the way, he would be fourth in the open division of this year. So this is also uh very important point of the stage. So and he has extra 1 year as a junior. So yeah, I would put him on the eighth place.
Who was it again? I think
Manson.
Manson.
oh, Manson. He had him as well. Okay.
Yeah, Mason.
Ilya, I have a question for you. So he has one more year in the juniors. He did 802.5 this year. Do you think he breaks John Hack's 813 record?
Ooh.
Um. Who?
The junior
Sorry.
record. The junior.
Can you repeat it, please? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. The junior 83 record is 813 by John Hack.
Yeah.
Do you think this year Manson breaks that?
I think there's no way he does it, right?
Yeah.
Like
in 2025.
Yeah. I think it's possible, really, because it's only 10.5 kilo difference. So yeah.
Yeah, and like he's saying, if you go back to 2023, like the closest meet to what Worlds was, right, which was World University Cup. He told, or not even if you go back to 2023 and what is this? August, right? He totaled 727 and then 758, and then this year he's totaling like 802. So like with that rate of progress, I think there's like almost no chance he does not break it. Which there's obviously
he went 727 to 802
in like a year. Yeah, that's insane progress. So like I think there's like and that's the not to mention he went from that 727 758 at a lower level stage to 802.5 at like the highest stage there is for him.
Yeah, that's right. That's also always bonus points when people have their best performance on the biggest stage. That's definitely
exactly. So like I think like with that rate of progress, there's almost no chance, and obviously you can't underplay beating John Hack's record because I mean like we all know who John Hack is, right? Like beating anything of his, no matter how old, is pretty crazy.
Ilya was like, "Who?" No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Okay, so I'll move on to my number 7, and I have Nathaniel Messiah. So this was actually a very hard one for me to do because I moved him up. I moved him up one spot from 8 to 7 just because the 93s was the most competitive class like at Junior World. Like there were so many people who came in. Like we had Nathaniel, we had Brandon, we had Richard Baden, we had Aiden Rader. Like there were a lot of heavyweights. There were other ones I didn't even mention, but there were a lot of strong 93s at Junior World. So it was extremely competitive. And Nathaniel wasn't ranked first coming in, but like he had a great day, and he pulled for the win. He pulled junior deadlift world record to pull for the win, and that's amazing. I had a lot of trouble ranking him though because there's a 93 who didn't compete at Junior Worlds who totaled a pretty decent amount more, who I'm going to have later on my list, and sometimes it's awkward because you see people totaling a lot, but you're like looking at their list, you're like, was this the standard? Like, you're not sure sometimes, right? But like, I look at this person's list and like, I have no doubt if it's the standard. Like, this person is an extremely strong lifter. We'll talk about him later. So I just couldn't put him as high because to me, he's just not the number one 90. Like, he won Junior World and he gets all the respect for that. But I don't think he's the strongest 93 junior. So that's why I moved him down a little bit. But also, he's moving up to 105 next year, which to me makes sense because I believe he's one last year in the juniors. But if you've seen him in person, I mean, he's extraordinarily jacked. Like, I don't know how much he has to cut to make 93, but like, he is a large, very muscular dude.
So like, for Nathaniel.
What?
I think it's a good move for him to go 105.
Yeah, so I think he's one of the lifters that like moving up that class, and like That's also a big jump. 93 to 105, 12 kilos. So putting on 12 kilos in mass
is going to make a big difference. I mean, it already is, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a conventional lifter, not a sumo lifter, so it probably won't hurt his deadlift leverages at all. It'll help them. His squat will go up, his bench will go up. Like I honestly think he can go in 1 year, be like have a shot at winning the 105. Like it's hard. Usually it takes more than 1 year to move up a weight class and like retain your competitiveness because like you're at a big disadvantage. But he's one of the lifters who I think like this is going to be really good for. So I have my number 7, and yeah, that's my number 7.
And it's not like he's going up against like just some random 105, right? Like he's going.
Oh, I'm going to talk about it later. I'm trying to leave each person for like where they are on my list. Big Guy, who do you got at number 7?
Man, I was going to put someone at 7th, but I think I'm having a change of heart.
Aw.
And I'm going to move that person up and put the next one in at 7th. So I think I'm going to go with Regan. I'm going to go with Regan at 7th, and let me explain why.
Really?
Yeah, let me explain why. So Regan relatively dominated the junior 105s, right? He pulled what? 362, 363?
He pulled the record.
It was a junior world record.
366 at Euros after, I believe. Or no, holy.
No, he did more.
Yeah,
he did 372.
Holy crap. 366 he pulled that
Wait. He pulled 372
at Worlds.
Not at Worlds, but at the next meet.
No, yeah. I am aware of that, but I'm basing off of what he did at the Worlds, like as one of the leading reasons.
Yeah, he pulled 366.
366, correct?
Yeah.
Smoke that. I'm saying he had arguably 10 more keys on that. That's what I'm saying. I think 10 to 9. I think he could have pulled like 375. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He benched what, 220? Squatted 317.5, right?
Yeah.
Now, do we have any other junior 105s? No, we don't. We don't have any other junior 105s that we know of that are close to him. Unless I'm wrong.
No, definitely not even. I don't.
The closest is Antonio Perez. He's at 866 now, and he's making good progress. But like he's not. We're not talking 900 yet.
But on that day, he was still considerably.
Oh yeah. He won by a lot. It wasn't close.
Right. That's what I remember. So adding to this, in the 105s, the open world record was what, 940.5, 943.5?
940.5 at Ashton.
940.5. So Regan still has some work to do. But then, again, I think about a Bob Matthews. Mm-hmm. And if Bob really wanted to be a douchebag, or if he just wanted to be mean, he could have just be like, I'm going to just stay 105s and just drop 1,000 on everybody, right? So there's that. So I'm considering the realities in life of our sport, right? And that's why I actually dropped Regan. Regan's making great progress right now. Like he's going crazy right now. So there's that. But yeah, I think he didn't have a lot of competition, high level, like stressful, like they're pushing you. You better not miss type deal. He still needed to make his lifts. He's our guy, right? And I try to be hardest on people from my team. I try to be hardest because it's just the way I am. I try to set the highest expectations and standards for my own, especially. And I was going to have him actually 6th, but I actually bumped him down to 7th. When I get to my 6th, I'll explain why. But yeah, finishing off my reasoning, he finished off with we have Where is
We're
it?
doing for his total.
Oh yeah, 546 dots.
Yeah.
Pretty much 112 GL, 111.8, 903.5 at 105. I have Regan. I am not gonna try to pronounce his last name at 7 in my list.
Okay.
Okay. Like that.
I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
pretty
Who
fair.
do you got at number 7?
Who do I have at number 7? So I just have to go through all of these lifters. Let's see. I think I know who I have, but I'm just double checking. Cross checking never hurts. Number 7. All right, so at number 7, I'm gonna put Austin Nikolai. Obviously, Dots is a lot tougher on younger lifters, or not young, lighter lifters. Sorry about that. If we do go by international only and go to good lift points, he's like ranked like 10th or 9th. But like I do want to take into the account like the coefficient is tough on like 66s especially. Like he would have had to total like significantly more than the opens.
Can you go a little bit into depth and explain to the people watching why you say that?
So like if we look at the dots coefficient, we're gonna look at that real quick. He dotted like 547. So that would place him all the way up at like number 3 on this list, or maybe number 4. But based off good lift points, he's all the way down at 12th. Actually, maybe even lower. Because some people on this list are like out of order a little bit. But if we, it's just so tough, right? Because like that's a total that I don't want to say necessarily like is beating the open, but it's competitive in the open, I'd say. Like it's definitely closing in on that. So I think that has to be taken into account, the fact that the difference in the coefficients. I don't know what it is necessarily exactly that makes it so tough on like once you get in that 66 range, but it's just like it's brutal. Like it's a huge drop off because you have like this dude who's dotting 547 but has like 111.8 let's look at Reagan, right? He's a 105. He has basically the same dots, but his good lift points way higher, or at least significantly higher. So I want to give Nikolai some leeway here.
Let me can I add something for a second?
Yeah,
I
go for it.
included it on this list. I'm going to talk about it more when we talk about the Open because it'll apply more there. But what I started doing for some of these 59s and 66s, and as well as the 120 pluses, is I started looking at Wilks as well. Because Wilks, if you guys remember from back in the day, the best lifters on Wilks were always the 59s and the 120 pluses, right? Like it would always be Sergey and Ray. They would always win best lifter on Wilks. Because each formula favors different weight classes depending on how the formula is constructed. So
for sure,
if you just look at like dots or good lift points and you're looking at like lightweight lifters, they're always going to get crushed. They have no chance. Like
for sure,
if you look at certain formulas, somebody will never win. Like if you looked at I forget whether it's dots or good lift points, one of them.
Good
if
lift
you look
point.
at that, no, but I'm saying if you look at one of them, Jesus could never win best lifter. It's impossible.
Yeah.
He'd have to break
dots.
He'd have to break the Equip the world record to win it. But then if you look at Will, he could, right?
Yeah.
In fact, we'll talk about it later. But like the person who actually had the highest Will of any junior this year is not going to be who you expect. He's high up on my list, but it's not who you expect.
You could say the same thing for Amanda. Like Amanda's been dominating the 84s for so long, and it hasn't even been close to where now when she goes to Sheffield, she's screwed because she's blown up that class's total so hard for so long. It's like you don't have a shot at winning Sheffield now.
So that's the rough thing about Sheffield.
That's why I think when you're ranking people, whether it's for the year or like GOAT or any of these things, or for a meet, you have to look at all the factors because formulas are good. They're a tool to compare, but they're not perfect. Maybe in 100 years, when we've had 5 million people who have competed in powerlifting, the formulas will be perfect because we'll have so many data points that will actually have like a statistical formula that it shows you how good everyone is. But right now, like,
Yeah,
if you look at certain weight classes, we've only had like maybe like 3,059s ever compete. Like, that's not a lot of data. It's not. Like, if you try to make a statistical analysis from that, it's not high. So the point is that, like, we don't have enough information to really make a perfect formula. So
for sure.
that's why I think you have to look at all of them to like see, okay, this one helps this one hurts this. And then you end of the day, like, everyone's gonna have their own criteria, but I think the best way is look at all the information granted to you
Yes.
and
Thank
use
you.
that to form your own opinion.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
So okay, yeah, and that was we'll talk more about the specifics when I get up to them in my ring. But that was just I wanted to point that out. Okay, so now we are up to number 7. Ilya, who do you have for your number 7?
Papaya, obviously, because he did 845.5 in the 93 kilo class. So it's a pretty respectable total, and he did it on close battle from first to the third place. So, and yeah, he pulled 36.5, 360.5. This is also a huge deadlift in for the open division. So he's pretty strong lifter. He showed a good progress, and yeah, I would agree. The if he will move up to the 105, he he can get a solid total 900 plus. So and uh, become really good contender for the open uh, bronze medal. You know, so yeah, I would put Messiah on the 7th place. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we all have him in the same range. We all have him like in this part of the ranking. I just we were talking about the deadlift. So I just wanted to point out I was looking. There's a 93 who has like 3 or 4 more years in the junior. His name is Barack Spear, who deadlifted 350 for 4 reps. So we're gonna see these deadlift records get 350 for it was 4, right? Elliot, I showed you that video. 350 for
Wait, what'd you say?
the three. It was 350 for 4 reps, right? That
Yeah,
deadlift
no.
video.
Well, because I met him and talked to him in
Oh
person.
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh my god, dude. Just looking at him in person, like he's literally like I've met people who are or seen people online who are like deadlift build, like literally when I tell you this dude is constructed to just break every deadlift record there is, I don't.
You're saying he has the Ina build.
Yeah, I mean, this dude's hands are like the size of my head. His arms are like down to his kneecaps. Like it's ridiculous, and like he's a fairly muscular dude too. Like he's gonna blow it up for sure. I mean, he almost won deadlift gold, didn't he? But he dropped it, right?
He dropped it. Yeah.
So pretty crazy dude. And it was his first Worlds because Israel had never competed at Worlds before. So pretty insane from someone in the B flight.
Yeah. I mean, the 93s are getting stronger. Like we're still not at, and like Anatoly still has the junior record for the 93s. It'll still take a little bit till it gets broken, but like we're getting close to it.
For sure.
Okay, so let's move on to our number 6s. Okay, so for me, number 6, so number 6 was interesting. I had 2 people that I wasn't sure which one to put at 6 and number 5. End of the day, I put at number 6. I put Austin Nikolai. The reason I put him at 6 instead of 5 is just because like he had an insane performance, but with missing that last deadlift, like the person who came in at 5 just had a better executed day. So we'll talk about who he is later. But yeah, so Austin is an insane lifter. It's not often that you have juniors who are like competing for the open world record. Like that's not super common. Austin was like one of the perfect example of that here. The reason why he took that jump is because that jump would have secured him the open world record total, which like having an open world record on any lift as a junior is impressive, but having the open world record total, like that's like something that like is not common, very uncommon, especially on the male side. The female side, very different. Male side, very uncommon. So he had a great day. I think it was 692.5.
Correct.
He took the junior world record total, obviously, by a mile. Like, probably took it, like, would have taken it with his last warm up on deadlift. Forget about his opener. And obviously, we're not going to include gym training in this ranking, but if you see his lifts recently, like, we know something spicy's coming up. And also, I mean, he's still got 2 more years in the juniors. So, of course, the juniors.
He just turned 21.
Right.
Like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
I don't want to speak for Austin, but I'm sure his number one priority is not the juniors, but he has that as a backup. He will compete at PA Nats with the attempt to go to Open World, but because of the U.S. system, there's no way a second person in any weight class is going to get in. So if he wins, he'll go. But if not, he definitely has a backup and can still take the world record even at Junior World. So we will definitely see more of him, like, for the next 2 years in the juniors. And I mean, he's also a light 66. Like, you said now he's actually getting to big boy body weight. But like,
we got him heavy. I mean, I'm gonna explain he's on my list, right? Bias, but
that's fine.
I'll explain I'm gonna go through all his details. But yeah, he's heavy. We got him heavy right now. And young lifters, it's good to be heavy, man. You need that. Like, it's good to be heavy. And I'll go more into it.
I say that like I'm not under right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, heavy will help him because he's already a great squatter and a great deadlifter. He's got that bench is the one thing that's like holding him back from being like the number one open 66 in the world. So that extra body weight, because like he's lengthy, like he's got like long arms, he's got long limbs. How tall is he?
He's actually a tall 66.
He's a very tall 66.
He's like, I want to say he got even tall. Like, okay, so I've been working with this kid for 4 years. He's taller than when I first met him. He's grown. Makes me sad. Think about it. Okay. I want to say 5'5", 5'6", 5'7". If he's 5'7",
I would believe he's 5'7".
That's crazy for a 66.
He's tall for a 66.
I mean, he's taller than Keiko.
Well, I want to like put into perspective, right? So I competed at the same meet as him back in 2022, like like March of 2022, and we were both 66s. So for perspective, like now I'm like getting to filling out 74, and he's older than me, obviously, and he's still in the 66s. So like he's very much like been in that weight class. So like definitely tall for a 66, I would say. Because I believe he's taller than me too. So
yeah. Filling out weight class is a very interesting discussion. I mean, like if you look at body weight jumps, I mean, on the last one we talked about, William Ball was saying his insane body weight jumps when he. I just re-listened to the Sergey podcast, and he said when he started training, he weighed 28 kilos.
What?
Sergey Fedoshenko. He said when he started training, he weighed 28 kilos.
That's not. Is that real? Is that real?
Yeah.
28 kilos? I didn't know you could.
He was young. He was 14.
I was 14. A barbell when I started.
I was a barbell.
Down here.
But it was the squat bar.
He weighed the barbell with
he was almost
with the
a little over the squat
and
bar.
collars.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
To be honest, at the beginning, I would my body weight was 27, so it's not a record.
What?
But I
was... Oh my god!
What the fuck?
How old are you?
I was only 9 years old, so.
Oh, okay, that makes a little more sense. You've been lifting since 9?
Crazy. Yeah. You've been lifting for like almost your whole life at this point then.
So I went to the gym at the third class of the elementary school. So
that's crazy. Third graders in the gym.
Third graders.
Oh my but my first competition was when I was 11 years old. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it's something like 12 or 11, something like that. So I weighed in 30, yeah, so 38 kilos. You know.
Wow, that's insane. I guess we got to figure out what they're doing to get. We need to get our 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds
Our
into the
9-year-old, get
gym.
them in the gym. Well, how long has Dylan Johnson been lifting? He's been lifting since like 12 or 13 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Oh, he's a Texas boy, right?
Is
Oh
he?
no, he said Oklahoma. He said
No.
Oklahoma. He said Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right. No, Texas is the only place that we got in the U.S. where we got people lifting at like 11 and 12. Yeah. Okay. So fine. So that was. Now we are up to Big Body. Who do you got at number 6?
Okay, so number 6. I'll explain why this makes sense to me. I have Jordan McKinley at number 6.
Mm.
The reason why is because he went to USAPL Open Nationals. He had some competition that he had to. That's not like you don't just overlook that comp, right? And he beat Demetrius, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Demetrius is
It's pretty crazy.
that is good for around. I mean, just recently he did 297.5 squat at the game day meet. I'm not sure what he posted at the USAPL Opens, but he's good for around almost 300, maybe 290 to 300, 200 bench, and then 365 pull, right? So it's like when you beat that capability range, you beat that in the open in a federation, and you do that as a junior, and your total is so high that had he been at Junior Worlds, what if he had a bad day? In my opinion, he would still win. If you took 20 keys off of 875, he still beats Nathaniel, who posted 845.5. So for me on the criteria, I will put something like a performance that you'll say, oh, you say you don't value, performances. When it's so large, where it's like, even if you just take 20 keys off, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying he still wins, and I value him at a certain rank. Again, this is my personal list. So I have Jordan McKinley there at 6. And that's why I put him. I had him at 7th and Regan. But when I am and again, I hope everyone's understanding that like I'm truly working to not be biased. I'm truly working to be fair and objective. And just as Big Mike said, you have to consider everything. You have to consider everything. You can't just look at one thing. I think it's very important to make sure you consider all the pieces to the criteria, right? And so finishing my explanation for 6th place with Jordan McKinley, 564 dots, massive, 115.9. So for all the numbers people, coefficient people, that's huge. Oh, he did 870. Sorry. He did 870 and he did 870 at 90.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Put on more weight. And I think that just adds to the value and the legitimacy of my argument. I have Jordan McKinley at 6 on my list.
Okay, I like it. Talk more about it later, but good pick. Elliot, who do you got for number 6?
I've got Jaden Lowe at number 6. I was ready this time.
Jaden Lowe, he was the number 1 sub junior last year.
Exactly. So one, he's fresh into juniors, as we just said. He's pretty high up here, just because one, he weighed in at 80, so like he's not really a filled out 83. Obviously it's a little weird because he's in USAPL, so he can't really like get all the way to 83 because the weight cap is 82.5. It's 0.5 kilos, whatever. Despite that, still managed to put up like 787.5, which is not like a super far cry from what won the junior 83s. He definitely had some drop off once he went to nationals. I think that the reason I have him a lot higher on this list is simply because he is literally just entering the juniors, and I think that's a pretty crazy number to be putting up while just entering the juniors. And let me double check something here. Right. So he would have been with his nationals performance while weighing like 80. He still would have gotten like third. He would have podiumed in the juniors in his first year, while being like 3 kilos plus underweight. So I think that's pretty crazy in itself. If we look at his coefficient, it's pretty high up there as well. He's got a 542 dots. I don't know what his good lift points is. Let me double check on your list that you sent in here. 110.9. So still pretty high up there. Not the highest that we see on this list, obviously, but you also have to consider, he's like, probably one of the youngest dudes, or I guess technically as young as you can get on this list, right? So that's why I have him up there.
Okay. I didn't include him on my list because I felt that from a potential standpoint, he would be on it. But from a pure how good of a lifter what he was this year, he was only like
a lot of asterisks.
Yeah, there were multiple 83s who didn't even make my list with higher totals than him, including
that's fair,
including Gabriel, who came second at Worlds and won Euros, and including my number 10 lifter totaled 810. So even though in terms of potential, he was number 1 sub junior for me last year for a good reason because he's really strong. And if you ask me which of these lifters do I think is likely to become for sure a junior world champion if they want to, maybe even an open world champion, he definitely has the potential, right? He's really young. He's 19 years old. He hasn't filled out the class yet. He's extremely strong. But in terms of actual results, like what did they do this year? Did they win big meets? Did they break records? It's not there for me, especially this high up the list.
But that's very fair.
Everyone has their own ranking system, so I respect it. Ilya, who do you have for number 6?
Obviously, Regan, he is a junior best lifter at the vault of the 24. So he totaled 903.5 kilos in the 105. So he has extra 1 year as a junior, and he showed great progress. So also, my point, he's only one lifter from Denmark who showed results close to be best lifter in any divisions. So from sub junior to the masters. So it's pretty interesting.
Good point.
Yeah. And,
keep going.
Big body's eating it up.
Sorry?
I said big body's eating it up.
I was making a joke to keep going because he's a part of my team. I'm being silly. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, I would put Regan on this place. So I it was a hard choice between him and Austin, but the main reason Austin showed a pretty close result to the open win and open world record in total and deadlift. So yeah, I put Regan on this place.
Okay, I like the pick. He's actually. We'll get to him in a second. Can we just take like a 5-minute break and then continue in like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me just pause this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will continue with the rankings, and we're at number 5 now. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit before, but I was going to wait till my turn. So for number 5, I have Regan. I don't know how to pronounce it, Sergakis or something like that. So for me, this is the last lifter in this tier. I have him as the highest rank person for like this grouping. Like I had one grouping for me was Reagan, Austin, Nathaniel, and Monzo. Like they all won junior world. They were all extremely strong, great performances, young lifters. But to me, they're not in my top tier. We'll talk about my top tier when we get to it. So of this tier, the reason why I have Reagan the highest ranked is because he had the best day. He executed perfectly. 903.5 kilo total, world record deadlift, world record, junior world record total. Great day. Has more
he
in
went
the
8 for 9.
It was 8. Okay, but he had a phenomenal day, and like
damn near, yeah.
He came in like as the favorite, but he didn't come in like, oh, this guy is just gonna shatter the world record. Like, his training looked like it, but like he hadn't done this in a meet yet, and then he just went and had a wonderful day. So for me, I have him as my number 5. I think we all have him in a similar. I'm looking at the rankings right now. We all had him like in this like 5 to like 7 range. We all had him like really, really like towards. I would say we all probably had him towards the top of our like second tier. Like second tier, like tiers make it sound bad. Second tier is insane. Just like not the best lifter, but like insanely strong. Like this tier is people who like are crazy juniors, but I don't think like are going to win the Open World Championship or whatever next year. Like I think they're like they need a little bit more time. So yeah, I think he's a crazy lifter, and I think I don't know what his body weight's like. Like I don't know if he's a very tall lifter, so I don't know if he's somebody who's going to eventually move up to 120.
You talking about Regan?
Yeah,
he's asking.
He's actually like my height or like maybe like a half inch taller. He's like 6 feet.
Or like
6 feet, huge.
Maybe 6 feet and a half. He's a big boy. He's big.
So then he's taller than the other 105s though. I mean, like
yeah.
Like if you look at like the top 105s in the world in the Open, like we got like Ashton, we got Anatoly. They're all my height. They're all like 5'9", 5'10".
Him and Bjorn from Germany. They are NFL size Mike linebacker.
I remember I was watching the session and like I look behind me and I just see like a fucking wall of muscle and I'm like, what the absolute?
They're huge.
Like made Ashton look small. I've never seen anyone make that kid look small.
That can't be. I don't know if there's anyone out there who can make Ashton look small. Like I remember the first time I met Ashton in person. Like we're talking like 4 years ago. And I just looked at him and I'm like, this guy is huge. And like he's only gotten bigger since then. I can't believe that he made Ashton look small because that's hard to believe.
I mean Ashton Fisher.
I thought you were saying Ashton Rouska. Okay.
I've never met Ashton Rouska in person, so I can't attest to
that. They're all shorter. Like Ashton, both Ashtons are shorter.
I've heard that.
They're big, right? They're big for their height, but like frame wise, like because like you're taller, so you're gonna hold more, right? They like it's just like Bjorn and Regan or some other 105s, they're just taller and bigger, you know?
Yeah. Anyway,
okay, so that was my number 5. Big Body, who do you have at number 5? I think I know the answer, but
yeah.
My number 5.
Suspense.
Is Elliot Sykes.
Wait, what?
Oh, you included him. Disclaimer.
Did you actually? I thought you were kidding.
Because he's not officially a junior.
I'm not a junior.
I know.
But I'll take it.
Let me explain. I can't wait to do the Open. Let's probably give you a hint. When you out total the age division above in the same week that they're competing within the same country, in the same landmass, in the same venue, for me, that is unacceptable. But it is also inspiring to the juniors because it means you guys got work to do. You should be motivated. You should be hungry. You should be far from content. If you won the 74s at junior, sub-junior worlds in Malta in 2024, I say this with respect, but you got to understand the type of mindset that that I work with, I live with. I cannot, like, be happy, right? There's a side of you, be happy of what you've accomplished. You made it to the world stage, you went against the juniors and you won, or you podium, right? Or you even just making it is amazing. Be happy about that. Celebrate that. But on the other hand, when it comes to being a true competitor, realize that there's a sub junior that out totaled you. And then a couple months later, there's this guy from Russia that I just found out that also out totaled you, right? He didn't get a chance to compete. For me, if I am a 74 junior, if I won, for me personally, I cannot completely be happy because my total is truly and objectively so much lower than Elliot's. And he's a sub junior. If you put Elliot did not do his best. He did not do his best. That's a fact. If you put him in that same flight with those 74s and he puts up that same total, right? It's so large that he still wins rather comfortably. So this is why I put, he's not a junior though. I know. But I mean, I can't wait for the opens because I have my case that I want to make in that list. But I have him also. I have him because he was there. It's different because he was there, and of every single 74 that was at that venue, nobody was on his level. Nobody was on his level. So I have him also as he's the best sub junior in the world. I had him on the last episode, and I have him as the 5th best junior as well. I have him there. Just like a junior could potentially win the open. We don't have that currently where a sub can do junior right now, but I have him there. Does that make sense? Can you see how I draw the dots?
Yeah.
Obviously, I makes sense to me.
I just hope that the viewers understand that, like, a sub junior should not be out totaling you. And if he does, in my opinion, he takes your crown for me. But I'm not saying that to take away your accomplishment, making it a worlds, the great things you've done to get to that level. You get what I'm saying? I have Elliot Sykes.
I have a question. Elliot, would you have won best lifter at Junior World?
Yeah.
He would have won best lifter for the juniors.
Yeah. To be fair,
what I'm saying?
Like I think for part of that, like I think if Timur had like actually maybe like tried on any of his other lifts, he might have taken it from me, but he just kind of wanted to go say fuck it and go for the open deadlift world record, which like that's a big deal, way bigger than Junior Worlds in my opinion. So go for it, right? Like you're not gonna have any trouble. Like he goes to open worlds, right? Like he's not gonna have any trouble just going to open. So like focus on your goals. But yeah, I would have.
I like that. I like that. Big body is perfect. You always need like a one wild card in there, like something that was unexpected. Like I'll tell you, I was not expecting that. Like
I wasn't. I thought it was.
And here's another thing too, right? I'm not trying to be like I'm not trying to reach. I came to this conclusion naturally. In my head, if I can find a reason to have a spicy list, but also make it actually legitimate, I want to make that argument. So I'm making that argument for Elliot because, hey man, call me an Elliot Glazer, call me an Elliot fan, call me whatever you want. He's literally putting up numbers, performances, championships. The age, he's younger than all of you, right? Imagine a junior varsity kid comes over to the varsity football team and just beats everybody up, right? You should not be doing that. But he is. So I have to give him flowers. And so, what is it, 766 at 74 kg? What was your dots?
I think 560.
560. What was your GL?
I know that one, 1113.5.
So I have Elliot Sykes, the 5th best junior in the world on my list.
I appreciate it, man.
Okay. I like
that was a curveball.
Elliot, who do you got at number 5?
At my number 5, I have Reagan. Obviously, like everyone else said, not trying that last name. Crazy performance, obviously. Put up 900. we already talked about how, like, yeah, we have other lifters in, like, weight classes above Big Body said this that could easily come down and, like, blast that open record. But, like, let's say necessarily they don't. He's still pretty close to the open in that case then. We just talked about how he's pretty tall for the weight class. Still decently young. He'll be a junior next year, right? And the year after that, right? He's still junior for another. Yeah. So he still hasn't.
No. One more, Reggie.
Oh, one more? Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the ages and I saw it says 21 here. So I was like, all right. Still another year in the juniors. Pulled 372.5 the meet after. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. All right, like 366 at Worlds, had a great performance at Worlds. He's way up there. I mean, we've already talked about him a lot, but I think he definitely deserves that spot. There's someone I have above him, just because, like, I don't know if I can. Here, let me look. Yeah, I don't know if I can put him above this other guy just because of how tight knit it is. But yeah, that's all I have to say there.
Okay. Ilya, who do you have for your number 5?
So I didn't know that he can put on this list sub-junior lifters, but no, now I can know. And so I would put 2 lifters on this place. It's Austin Nicolai and Elliot, because Austin Nicolai, it's a pretty strong lifter for 66 kilo class, but obviously, and he tried to break open world record on the junior stage, so it's pretty solid. But open world record in 66 kilo class was
710.5 at the time.
Yeah, and in the 74 it was 8:36. So it's a big space between the results. So, and Elliot did 7:66. It's a huge result for the sub junior. I did not expect that it's can. I didn't know it can be can be happen in a sub junior to make 10 10.5, close to 10.5 body weight total in a sub junior in a 74 kilo class. So yeah, I put this lifter on the same stage. So because they all have a good perspective. Sorry for my extended pronunciation. To make a podium place in the open in the future. So Austin have 2 years to go in a sub junior or in a junior. Sorry, Elliot a few more. So yeah, they are both should be on a fifth place at least. So yeah.
And I just want to say really quick, for people that say Elliot Sykes, he's not a junior. I'm gonna do some more glazing here.
Yeah, he's a sub junior.
He's not a junior. He's a sub junior. He's literally better than all of them in the same week. What changes if you put him in the same fight? I'm saying he does the same thing.
I agree.
He beats everybody by far. What argument do you have? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
Obviously.
I'm not going to change my list because I thought about it actually. My initial list, I had him on it, like my preliminary list. I took him off because I'm like, this is for the juniors. So
yeah,
I'm gonna save one spot. Like I don't want to take a spot from a junior, so I didn't have him. But he's definitely deserving. Like if we included sub juniors, he would for sure make it. So I think it's valid.
I couldn't put a junior. I couldn't put a junior on the list when a sub junior is outperforming most of these juniors in the class and other classes by far.
Right. So well, that's kind of like, I don't know if you've been paying enough attention, but like I don't remember who won the 74s at Junior World, but I didn't include them on my list just because for that reason. I'm like,
I'll pull it up. I have it right here.
was Spanish lifter, Castro Marcos.
Yeah. I watched that yesterday.
720 kilo total, I believe.
720 was the heaviest total for the juniors.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't.
And you had a sub junior that outdid you on not his best day, not his best day, by 46 keys. He was in the same building as you, in the same week, in the same country, on the same island.
Okay. So
Mr. Kebab.
Let's move on to number 4. So for number 4, this next tier, my top 4 are all lifters who I think legitimately can be open threats. So this one actually is the reason why he's 4 is because he's the only one of these that he wasn't necessarily as battle tested. He didn't do it on the biggest stage, but he is the strongest 93 junior in the world, and I think he has potential to be the strongest 93 in the world, period. And that is Jordan McKinley. Jordan McKinley is insane. He did 870 at 90 kilos. I mean, that's just crazy. He's not filled out the class. He has one more year in the juniors to like go and smash the records. He's balanced. He doesn't have like a squat world record, but he's crazy. He has 325 squat. That's like right near like the squat world record. He has a good bench, like 200 kilos, and a crazy deadlift. Like he could pull in the gym. He's pulled 370. It's not obviously the gym's not going to count for ranking, but the point is he is just all around freakishly strong. I think he has a shot of breaking into the 900s this year as a junior 93. And based off what he did this past year, which was 870, that's enough for me to be the first lift, the last lifter on the top tier. So I will have him as number 4. And I think if he goes international this coming year, he has a shot to be the number 1 lifter for 2025. That's my pick. Big Body, who do you have at number 4?
I share the same sentiment when you talk about all of the lifters that's on my top 4 could very well be open threats. One of them could have been oh no, he's actually after. So I have Nonso at 4th. He's 19. Okay, he's 19. He placed 3rd in his country in the Open. He won Junior Worlds. He could have loaded to get best lifter, and I believe he went for the record. He went for the deadlift record, I believe. Right?
It was like a 26 kilo jump.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
And the reason why I have him 4th is because I thought about how at 19 years of age, it's not a shot, I'm just being objective. He's doing things that we all like, for instance, like another spoiler here. Rondell was not doing at 19. So with him actually being a real threat that you have to look out for in the Open, and he's only 19, and the amount of records that he's breaking and the things that he's doing at such a young age, I would make the argument that Elliot and Nonso are relatively in the same spot in terms of capabilities, upside, winning their championships, right? Nonso, he's a force, and he's also like obviously he's a girl. I think he's like my height, maybe an inch taller than me.
He's big.
He's a big kid. He's 6'1". Didn't speak too much. I tried to mess around with them when we were competing, when I was handling Juice, and but in all seriousness, the kid is a force, and he made some statements, and he exploded into this year, and it was hard for me to put him under. I mean, Elliot and Nonso are like, I feel like you could Shit, I probably should put Elliot because of what he did to the juniors as a sub. I should probably put Elliot at fourth, but you could have interchanged them. So yeah, Nonso, let me go ahead and run these real quick. Nonso went 541 dots, 109.7 GL, 938 total. 938 total at 120. 938 total at 120 at the age of 19. As long as he continues to make progress, I believe he can pull 410. I believe that he can get over the 220 kg bench. I believe he can surpass 210. I'll talk about this with Austin, but I have learned one of the greatest lessons this year is I have learned that I used to think that when a lifter is capped out at a particular body weight, that there's no way to get the bench stronger. And as you continue to learn the body and you learn stimulus and how the body receives it, I just watched Joey Flex take a lifter that benched 187.5 at open, and the guy knocked down 210 at 86 kg.
We all know who we're talking about here.
How many keys is that? What is that?
22. 22.
22
and a half.
187 and a half to 210?
22 and a half.
Ridiculous.
22 and a half keys? That might be one of the greatest off-season training progressions ever. Like, if you do that for deadlift, which is what Jurgens hypothetically had, and I'm not trying to make this about Russ, but, like, I learned I'm in a very fortunate spot. Like, when someone's been in a class for 8 years and everyone's saying, you got to get out, everything's capped, and you squeeze out 22 and a half more keys. So now bring this back over to Nonso, Nojo. I think that if they continue to progress, they can blow his lifts up, and this guy can be a real problem. I believe he could be one of the other 120s that can total 1,000. He's only 19. He's only 19.
Both.
So I have him on this list because of have we ever seen a 19-year-old put up 938 before?
I don't think so. I'd be shocked. I mean, I can check real quick.
So that's my pick.
Maybe if it was Joseph Pena.
I'm sorry?
Let's see.
Remember Joseph Pena?
Oh, yeah, him.
He was the 120 plus from Texas. He used to, like, he was like teen and he was battling against Ray.
He actually put up 920.
Oh, that's the best. Okay.
Yeah. So, and like if we look at who is in this top total, like we have Theo Maddox and Jackson Powell, but like
no, we're
like
talking
untested.
about
right.
Yeah,
right, untested. So we kind of knocked those off. And also, even if we do include them, those guys are both. One of them's 154 kilo. One of them's 134.5. Right. So like, even if we were to include them, whatever. But if we only are including tested, then like he 18 to 19, he has the highest total ever.
Yeah. So
over Ngoka.
Wow.
Who is also crazy.
He out totaled Eric Lillibridge, who did it in wraps, who used to be the strongest teen ever.
At 19.
Wraps gear, and Eric Lillibridge. We're talking about one of the greatest.
Just to put it in a greater context, right? Like, so yeah, I got Nonso number 4 on my list.
Okay, that is a very valid pick. Elliot, who do you have at number 4?
I also have Jordan McKinley at number 4. So if we just look at that, like, I mean, you already said so much, but 870 at 90 is ridiculous. Obviously over the winning total for IPF Worlds. Originally I had it looked close enough, and I had Reagan at that spot. But then I'm like looking down further this list, and I'm like, hold on a minute, because I've gotten too much into the habit of using Open IPF. You have a dude who's a weight class below you and not even filled out that weight class, Within 30 keys of your total, that's pretty nuts. So
Great argument.
I had to bump Jordan up a rank there. I mean, I don't even know what to say, man. That's ridiculous. Not even filled up the class and is an open threat with 870 at 90, 564 dots, 115.9 GL. I can't speak to how he'll do on a world stage, obviously, because we just haven't seen it. But like when you're that far ahead, right? Like I almost think it doesn't matter, right? Like when you're knocking on the door of the open, and we're talking about like if we're talking about an open list, then obviously that would affect his list. But that's what I'm saying. Like we're talking about an open 93 list, that would affect his ranking, obviously, because he hasn't gone to worlds. But we're talking about a junior list. If you're knocking on the door of the open as a junior and you're not even filled out the class yet, like I don't even know what to say. Like like that's ridiculous. So that's why he's up there in my rankings at number 4.
Okay. Ilya, we are up to you.
I put Nonso on this place because, as Big Body said, Nonso only 19 years old and he did 938 kilo total in 120
Sorry,
kilo class.
Ilya.
And
Sorry to interrupt. I don't think we can see you.
He's just moved up on this class. He competed in the 105.
Ilya, sorry. I don't think we can see you on the camera.
Oh, sorry.
I think your camera's off. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Excuse me. So he moved up to the 120 class only this year or last year. He competed in the 105, as I remember. So he can draw on this class, and I can explain what he will do in a 120 plus, possibly in the future. So he's extremely strong lifter. And as you said, Elliot and not so is it's definitely a future of powerlifting. So the sub juniors, obviously, not so he's first year in the junior, but still he's 19 years old. There, it's it's definitely future of powerlifting who will show huge results in the future. So and they're only 18, 19 years old, and they shows great results even for the open stage. So Elliot did 766, third place in the open world champion was 790. Nonso did 938, and third place in the open was 937.5, I believe. So he would, possibly he would not win a title, finish the third place, but he's still in a fight with a for the bronze medal in a open world championship. So I think he should be in the fourth place. So yeah.
Okay. So now we will move on to our top 3, our podium, shall you say. At number three, I have the most experienced and the most accomplished lifter on this list. He's competed internationally, double-digit time. He has set a total of, I believe, 71 world records between raw and equipped. He has gone to worlds, European, sub-juniors, juniors, has set every record, been competing for 10 years. And he was a bad judge's call away from being the third 74 to ever total 800, Ilya Marichov. He just competed at Asians after being forced to be off the international platform for a couple of years for things that had nothing to do with him. If he had been competing the last few years, he would have set even more records. He would have added more world championships to his list. He's gone up from competing as a light 53 kilo lifter, setting records in 53s. He won sub junior worlds and Europeans in the 53s, then went to the 59s and held the 59. He was the had the highest score of any sub junior ever until Elliott just broke it. He was the first sub junior to do 10 times body weight, totaling, I believe it was 589 at 59, something like that. Went to the 66.
Some ridiculous shit.
Went to the 70s. He's been 4 weight classes, equipped, raw, broken records in all of them, podiumed, international in all of them. Went to the Asian Championship, broke the 74 junior squat record with 297.5 and could have done more. We're going to see into the 300s. Didn't have the best bench day, but still did what he needed. And then came to deadlift, and he took, I believe it was 325 for the second, right?
Yep.
So 325 for the second, which I believe also partially that was to secure the win in the 74s in general, because he was battling against a strong competitor in Chun Fia. So he took the win there and then went to take 340 or 340.5.
340.5.
340.5, which would have taken him past 800, which would have given him the junior world record total, would have given him the junior world record deadlift, would have had him over 800 kilos, all of it. I don't know what the red lights were for, but it didn't count. What was it for your knees? What was it for?
Sorry?
What were the red lights on your third deadlift for?
Not looking out, I believe. So
okay,
yellow card.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was watching it live and I didn't understand.
A little confusing.
I made a YouTube video recapping it, and I thought it counted because after the deadlift, I turned off the stream. I thought it was over, so I didn't even realize that it didn't count. But yeah,
so, I'm not sure what that was.
So for sure, so definitely well deserved top 3. Like, I wish we had gotten to see the last 2-3 years for both Ilya and also all the Russian competitors in general. This is going to come up later. We're going to be talking, not in this podcast, but we'll be talking about the sub-junior woman, and there's a lifter who's just insane. Like, we have lifters that nobody knows of, because if they're young, like Ilya was already on the international platform. So he already did all these things, F59, 66, all this. But we have other lifters who haven't ever been able to compete internationally because of it. So it's just crazy that like the world hasn't seen it. Like another person who competed in the Asians, a 120, Konstantin Musayev, he won worlds the last time he was able to compete. So like, and young people don't even know who he is because he hasn't been allowed to compete. So it's just crazy to see like one of the strongest countries coming back and to see like what they're going to bring to the international platform. So at number 3, and definitely this top tier, these 3 are like, there's just
ridiculous.
All of them, we're talking 570 dots. We're talking like 115 plus GL points. We're talking world records. We're talking everything. So that's who I have number 3. Oh yeah. Big body. Who do you got?
So I just want to say again, Ilya, please make sure that you're at Junior Worlds next year.
He can't be, can he? Aren't you aging out?
You're going to Opens, right?
It's so sad.
Ilya,
it's so sad.
Ilya, I just want you to know, like, lists are lists, man. I hear people talk about lists all the time, and like some of it, in my opinion, is incredibly laughable. At the end of the day, when you hear other people's lists, definitely take the good from those that have you high ranked. You should be on the list. Everything that Mike just said right now, I had no knowledge of, right? So I cannot make a list if I don't know it. So, and that's not your fault. That's to my fault. So that just tells you, like, maybe I need to be I'm not a journalist though. Also, I'm a coach.
You got to get on that Dylan Johnson timing, bro.
Got to get on that Dylan Johnson. But I want to make sure that I give you the time to say, like, what you have done in your time in powerlifting right now it's unbelievable. It's phenomenal. And keep going. And I look forward to seeing you in the Open. You're going to be a force. You're a special lifter. You came out of nowhere. I saw you a couple weeks ago on Instagram, and I'm like, who the heck? Right? And it's good because that's great for the sport. You could easily be on this list. I agree with Mike. You top 3, I agree with it. Why are you not on Big Body's list? Big Body didn't have all that information, and that's my fault. It's not your fault. You're damn my list. Hey man, I'll say it first. My list sucks. You can say whatever you want. It's just everyone's preferences. But at the end of the day, a list doesn't make the truth of what it actually is, which is you're a great lifter. You could easily be high on lists. You could just miss the list. Everyone has their preferences and their reasons. At the end of the day, it doesn't take anything away from the type of lifter you are. But I just wanted to make sure I give you that respect. You're a phenomenal lifter. I look forward to seeing you do special things in the open. And that broke my heart that you're not going to. I mean, maybe one day we'll get you and Elliot and the other 74s head up. And it's a good thing, right? Like, I'm not trying to instigate anything. It's good for sport to have competition. And you guys will one day push the sport, right? When we finally get to see you guys go head up with all the other 74s. I'm working really hard with my 74s that I feel are very talented and are coming soon. I hope they can join the battle with you guys because it's a battle of honor, in my opinion. So just wanted to say that. My number 3, I have Timur. And the reason why I have Timur there is because Timur posted 1087.5 at Open Worlds. And he did that as a junior. He was so strong, and for me, came out of nowhere to where he was not far away to where Jesus had to make sure. You're talking about the strongest man in the world in the open division, the heaviest total ever put up. And the only thing that's heavier than that total is someone that is on PEDs, equipment, lifting out of a monolift, a noodle bar, or a deadlift bar, right? All these different variables that help you lift more versus someone that naturally is lifting raw. And as a junior, you were what? 12.5 keys away from 1100. That's as a junior. And I wanted to make sure I gave Timur his flowers because I think that there's a lot more human beings that are not super heavyweights and therefore they can't relate. So therefore they don't value them. But we don't actually really put into perception like how special it is, what 120s do, 105s do, super heavyweights do. Yeah, there's not a lot of human beings out here that weigh 340 kilos or weigh 370 or sorry, 140
kilos.
Sorry. 155 kilos, 170 kilos, 180 kilos, whatever the case may be, right? Yeah, there's not a lot of human beings that weigh that much. But the ones that are out there, and someone like Timur, who's a junior, he after Junior Worlds, he broke the open deadlift record, right?
Yeah.
The open deadlift
no, during
record.
it.
Huh?
During Junior Worlds, right?
Western Euros? Did he do Western, or he did some
no,
other?
No, he did it. He did it at Junior Worlds. He pulled like 320 or 420. Sorry. Or no, he pulled 411, and then he went for.
After. Go ahead.
411, yeah, 411.
Yeah, he pulled 411. He pulled 411 at Worlds. He didn't go to a meet after.
So
he did it at Junior Worlds.
So he broke the open. Oh, that's what it was. It was after Open Worlds. He went to Junior Worlds and made sure he broke that record. There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
So that's special, man. That's special. Like he won
video.
He won easily at Junior Worlds. He dared to push the strongest power lifter currently. Like objectively, this is the strongest man on the planet. Like doesn't have all the things that could help someone that helps in untested or equipped. And I'm just saying objectively. I'm not taking a shot. I'm just saying objectively. He's doing this raw. He does not have as much help. And he pushed that man, right? Or he at least said, you have to make sure that you execute and put up this number to beat me. And he did that as a junior, right? That says a lot. That is incredibly special, in my opinion. I value that super high. And he was so strong to where there was nobody even close enough in the juniors. You know what I mean? So he had that competition in Jesus. He worked to press that. Now it's sad because maybe it's best for his actual physical health. Who knows? But he dropped down to 120 now, I believe, and
Yeah.
he did it really fast. But I have Timur ranked as the third best junior. So 1087.5. His dots was something out of this world. It was like 574 dots as a super
Yeah,
heavy.
some crazy stuff like
You know what I
that
mean?
is ridiculous.
And he did 112.5 GL, and again 1087.5 at 120 plus. So I have Timur as my third spot on my list.
Okay, that is a good rank. Elliot, who do you have at number 3?
So I also have Ilya. So I remember when I was like first getting into powerlifting, trying to look at the pound for pound rankings, going on open powerlifting, and like doing what was it, like the 16 to 17 filter, and then putting in dots and seeing who's up there. And I remember seeing like 545, and I was like, what the hell? So I knew who he was before his most recent meet because it was the record that I was chasing that he set. It's a ridiculous record. The fact that he managed to put up 785 without that last deadlift, which I honestly think not only I'm not going to be one to judge like the referee's calls, but like I don't see how that wasn't locked out. And then he just pulled 330 right at like 75. So and it was just as easy. So that's another improvement there. In general, like obviously he didn't get to go to Worlds, but that's not really in his control. And even if we factor that in, right, like he's so far ahead of the people that aren't in this top 3 that like I don't think it matters. Like I really like we talked about the junior 74s like totaling like 720. Like this is like a 65 kilo gap. Possibly more if he had gotten that last deadlift, which debatable call in my opinion, but whatever. There's not really enough I can say. It was a ridiculous performance. Took my junior squat record, which I did not expect. Because I remember he actually DM'd me and he was asking me. He was like, "Do you squat in heels or flats?" And I answered, and he went, "Okay, thanks." And then like a few months later, he comes and takes my junior record for squat. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" It really is a shame that we won't get to see you in the juniors next year.
Yeah.
I would have loved to compete against you. You really motivated me to try and dial in my training, and you got me really excited. And then I hear, oh, he's not going juniors next year. I'm like, dang. I have a lot of respect for you as a lifter. You've done some crazy things in the sport. You've been super active, and not only super active, but like pretty super active at a high level. You were competing like it looks like almost like every month. I can't imagine doing that personally, but power to you because you did that and then you still put up like some of the most ridiculous numbers I've ever seen while competing both classic and equipped. It's insane. Here I have it 590 at 58.9. That's as a sub junior. That's ridiculous. Yeah, there's not enough praise I can give. It's a pretty insane thing. And you're pretty new to the weight class too. So I was talking to Mike over here about this, he was telling me like he has room to grow into the weight class. So I think you're going to do big things in the 74s for sure. I don't think anyone has any questions about that or any protests to that.
Okay. Ilya, who do you have at number 3?
So it was pretty difficult to choose between Timur, Joey, and me. But obviously, I would put myself on the third place as well. Because yes, I tore my key biceps uh, uh, this August. Sorry, this June. So it was very hard to recover from that. So I took two tiers, 1 centimeters each other. So, but still, my results is 785 in a Asian Junior. It's a Asian Open Championship. So Joey is way stronger, obviously. And Timur did his total on a open stage uh, in a junior championship in a European junior Moscow show. So I would put myself in the third place. Yes, I'm strong in equipment too. I'm pretty close to the open world record in equipment in total and in bench press, but still. Uh, uh, Also, when I tried to back from the injury, I gained up to the 85 kilogram, yeah, to the 85 kilos, I believe, and then I cut to 74. It was very hard to keep 100 calories, 1,000 calories uh, for 4 months, I believe. Yeah, I keep this diet. So and mm, obviously, I would squat a lot more, but I afraid for my legs. But it's not Jody's, it's not Timur's, it's not Joey's issue. It's my issue that I did that I took these injuries. So yeah, I would put myself in the third place. If I would took what I played, it's like 820, 825. Yeah, uh, I would put myself a bit higher, but no, I think I did not honor that. So yeah.
Wow. So for this coming year, are you going to be you're going to be doing equipped and classic? So which what's your number one goal? Is your number one goal to break the 74 equipped record, to break the 74 raw? Like your number one goal? You have to pick.
Fire your shot.
So uh, I am so it's difficult to say because it's both because both world records are very it's a world record in different divisions. It's a different sport, so it's something like you're competing in a wrestling and a boxing. So it's really difficult to choose. But I would say to break classic record is a bit more difficult because open world record in equipment 908 kilo, I believe. So I'm pretty close to that. I did 900, I believe. No, 897.5 in a national championship. So, uh, but I'm not even close to the Austin's world record in total. Yeah, possibly I would be closer if I did not tear my biceps, hip biceps. But still, I think classic world record is is a bit more cost.
You tore both your biceps?
Sorry?
You tore both of them? Both of your biceps?
Hip biceps. I'm talking about leg.
Oh, whoa! That's so much worse.
And you still,
when was this?
And you still squatted 297.5.
When was this?
He said he tore his hamstrings.
His biceps femoris, yeah.
Yeah, his hamstrings.
Yeah. When was this?
On the legs, that's hamstrings.
Yeah.
It was on the national championship of 2024.
So like this year? Okay, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it was summer.
Jeez.
It was the summer of this year. So I'm talking about.
Like a few months ago.
Sorry.
Like a few months ago?
No, half year ago. 6 months ago.
That's crazy.
Your example of how
This-
the soft tissue will heal. Like soft tissue issues, they suck, but they will heal.
Sorry,
He's
I'm-
commending you for your recovery, pretty much.
Yeah, it was difficult recovery, and I would take a lot higher total if I didn't take these injuries. But still, it's my problem that I took these injuries. I should be a bit more safe, bit more smart. It was a big lesson. Yeah, if I
What grade of the hamstring tear did you have? Like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3? Like what level of intensity of a hamstring tear?
uh, it's difficult to say. In percentage, it's 20% of the one and 25% of the other muscle.
I got it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
completely.
nuts.
It's not completely a tear. It's not complete tear. It's yeah.
Who's
No,
your
that's
coach?
still impressive.
Who's your coach?
My father.
Who?
His
My
father?
father. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
The same as Taylor Atwood.
That's cool.
that's wild. Wow. Okay, fun. Let's get back to our rankings. And at number 2, I have Taymor. He had an insane year. He now owns every junior record. He broke all of Jesus' junior records. He took his squat record. He took his bench record. He took his deadlift record. He took his total record. He took his open deadlift record. And remember before when I said if you look at Wilkes as a different person, if you look at Wilkes, Taymor actually has the number 1 Wilkes. Not only of the juniors, he has the 5th highest Wilkes of all time.
Wow.
Open any years, higher than Ray, higher than Jesse Norris, higher than like damn near everyone.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I mean he's a crazy lifter, and now he's cutting down to 120. So we'll see how that goes. It seems like he's done his cut already. Obviously he's going to lose some strength. Like you can't cut 35 kilos and lose nothing. But it's interesting. The training is very, very unique. He does like 25 singles. He does 25
Singles
30
and
singles
cigarettes.
with 1 minute in between. So we'll see how heavy he can get up to. But we'll see. I'm definitely very curious to see whether like he can lose a lot of his strength. He can lose 70 kilos and still be the favorite at 120. Like so we'll see. The question is, does he lose 70 or does he lose 170? So we'll have to see that. But he definitely is somebody I'm going to be looking forward to watching. This is his last year in the juniors, but he'll be a force in the opens at the 120s. So yeah, he's my number 2 lifter. Last year I had him at number 6, but he had a phenomenal year, broke a ton of records, and yeah, big body. Who do you have at number 2?
He's plotting.
I would work to make the argument on why I could also have him tied at number 1. But then number 1 has done something that number 2 for my list has not done yet. Has created a very lengthy, stacked, decorated resume. And so this is going to be a Austin Nikolai fanboy pick here. And here are my notes. So I'm going to give a lot of context and history here. Austin Nikolai has prepped just like Ilya. How many meets have you done in the past 12 months?
It's difficult to remind. Asian Championship, Commonwealth of the National, Central Western Championships, injury period, and 2 national championships as the open. I believe 5 only. 5 or 6, just like that.
So how many is that?
You said 5 or 6.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How do you think you would have done if maybe you would have done like 1 or 2 meets in the past 12 months?
I don't know.
You think you
It
would have done?
would be happened because I'm competing in equipment and row both. So at least I have 1 national and 1 international in each discipline. So
So the
it's
point.
not to be happen.
So the point that I'm making is, in 12 months,
Yeah.
Austin Nikolai did he did USAPL Open Nats,
Uh-huh.
placed third as a 19-year-old in the Open. He posted a 702.5 total versus Dan Clements. Who's my man that just retired recently? Charlie Yang. There was I think, what's his name? Ricardo. He's another good 66 in America. There's a lot of good 66s there. If I'm not saying your name, I think Morgan missed out on that. No, I think Morgan missed out on the year. Anyways, 702.5 at the age of 19. Then shortly after, in a couple months, we do PA Open Nats, run that back, and go back to back Open PA National podium placement, again, third place, where we were facing to be bombed out. We were facing to bomb out, right? Then after that, we do junior nationals when we didn't even have to, finding out that we didn't need to do that. And then a couple months later, we turn around, we go to Malta, and we secure one of his goals is he's always wanted to be a junior world champion. So that's 4 meets in roughly 12 months or so. And in the time leading up to USAPL Open Nationals, there was a lot that I was figuring out about him that worked well. And then in that time frame, my mindset and my approach changed to how I programmed and pushed his training. And the reason why he has had stagnation in the squat and the bench has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with me. And I have seen him put up, with the accumulation of a 735 kg total as a 66 kg in training and all his best numbers. And in 1 week, we beat the world record, the open world record. We did 7:15 1 or 2 weeks right before Malta. I am just now, with a couple of months, being out of prep. And it's not an excuse. I'm just explaining how we are where we are in reality. His stagnation has nothing to do with him and everything to do with me. I think that this guy is the one. From what I see in his training, I believe he's the one. He went as a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old and went against the best 66s in the world, in America, where it's so hard to get out of. And he podiumed twice. Respectfully to all the 66s out there, there's a lot of them coming up right now, but with who showed up in competition in juniors, he's obliterated those totals, objectively. We are just now starting to see some promising signs that I'm very excited about. And I believe he has everything that the number one guy has, except beating open world champions. But he's been very, very close. When we were at Junior Worlds, I could have very well just loaded 300 kg for him and he would have PR'd his total without even PR with the stagnated. We didn't get weaker on squat and bench. Or actually, bench got slightly stronger. We didn't get weaker on squat, but we just stayed the same for all this time. In 3.5 years, he's dealt with 1 tweak in his lower back in the sacrum. So we've had very successful training. And it's just been a deal of what works now. And we're finding that now. I say all this to say that his best dots ever put up against open caliber talent in the open division He did a 550 dots. So for the coefficient people. So I'm making all the arguments and I'm giving context here, right? He just turned 21, and I'm just now getting back to. I haven't been able to be in my experimental phase in his off-season training, and we're just getting into that now after we've had some time. And I'm very big on thinking about longevity, making sure that the young athlete is going to be able to stay healthy. So after doing all these meets back to back to back, I'm trying to make sure that I don't injure this guy, but also keep him in a progressive state, which we have been able to progress his deadlift massively. So with all this being said, I have Austin with a 547.5 dots and a 108.5 GL with a 692.5 total with 7 attempts and 1 deadlift at the number 2 spot. And I believe that if his coach can do his job and figure it out, I believe he can be something extremely dangerous in just a couple of months here. And Austin does everything that he needs to do to be the best that he can be. I couldn't really ask for a better lifter. It's really his coach that needs to get his stuff together and deliver for him. So with that being said, I believe Austin can be the best 66. I believe he's capable of an 800 kg total, and I believe that the pressure is all on me, and I'll take all that pressure. It's not on him. Nothing's on him. He does everything he needs to do. If he just shows up and lifts, he's going to be a problem. And I have him number 2 because of the decoration of his resume. He's battle tested. He's been in open national titles twice now and podiumed every time as a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. He went to junior worlds and obliterated. He broke the junior worlds deadlift record and the junior worlds total record. Oh, sorry, squat record and total record. We could have taken, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? If we wanted to, we could have loaded for the third, but we went. I was working to make the case for a 20-year-old to get into Sheffield. Had he broken 710.5, I felt like it would have been good enough. So that's why we went for 308.5. And again, I just wanted to give all the context that you don't talk about for months that people don't know. So that's why there's this lengthy explanation. And forgive me, everyone, for talking so much. Excuse my autism. But I'll end it here by saying, I'll end it here by saying I have Austin Nikolai as the number 2 best junior in the world.
Okay, very well said. Elliot, who do you have at number 2?
I have Timur at number 2. I mean, we've talked about how ridiculous this dude is. I saw his lifting in person. I saw that 411 deadlift. It flew. I've never seen that much weight move that fast ever. So that within itself speaks volumes. Honestly, this is the dude that could have taken junior best lifter if he wanted to. He chose not to because he wanted to pursue that open deadlift record. Yeah, I mean, he did a squat that he usually opens with more than. Did a bench that he also opens near or more than. And then obviously deadlifted an open world record. So I really don't have words to describe how absolutely insane it was to see that much weight moved that quickly by a human being. I just think it's something really special when you get these dudes, because not everyone can be a super heavyweight. It takes a very specific type of person to be able to be that big for that long and take that amount of weight and just, especially the way he trains with the a million singles he does, to be able to take that type of load over and over again and still be putting up these numbers in competition pretty consistently is insane to me. it's just such a high amount of weight, and to think a human being is like moving that on a regular basis, and it's just like, all right. I mean, 1,087.5 at an open world championship. No one else at this list has done anything like that. Now I think the number one spot I have, I'm a little biased just because of I really do like the coefficients as a ranking system, so I am a little biased. I honestly think there's a chance it could go either way here. If we go outside of the coefficients, though, what makes a big difference to me too is also the proximity to the open, and the fact that he is also going down to 120 also makes a difference to me. We don't really know how that's going to go, so that I kind of factored in. And then also, like I said, biased towards coefficients. But he's a very strong lifter, and I think a lot of people could make a case for him to be even higher up on this list. But number two on a list that is as stacked as this one is not. I mean, I'm saying it like, wow, he could be higher, as if he's not number two. Like, that's a ridiculous ranking in this year of lifters. Like, really every lifter in this top 10, even people outside of the top 10, are pretty insane, pretty phenomenal lifters that put up some insane numbers. So I have Timur at number two, 1,087.5 as a super heavyweight, 574 dots, 112.5 GL. What was his? You were saying he has like number. I know he has here.
What, his total?
Double check it. His Wilks. Yeah.
Yeah, his Wilks is I think like 596, something like that.
Some crazy number. Let's see. Yeah, so he has 595.74. If we go by IPF only, the only people that beat him with Wilks is literally Austin Perkins and Jesus Oliveros. So in my opinion, the two strongest people in the world, right? So like,
I would agree, to be honest. I would agree, to be honest.
Yeah. So like, if we're viewing it that way, like, he's 22, so he's younger than both of these dudes, and he's right up there with them. Yeah. So it's pretty insane to watch. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in person in my life. So he's at my number two spot.
Yeah.
Okay, Ilya, who do you have at number two?
It was very difficult choose, as I said. But I would put Joey Boristin on the second place. Yeah, he showed a huge result. Was 21 years old, I believe. Is it 21?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's unfortunate that he has a really bad birthday, so next year will be his last year at juniors, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So, but he did it on the national stage or some tournament. So it's not international competition. So that's why I put him a bit lower than other lifter. And but still, 865 kilo in 21 years old. The body weight of the 83. It's pretty insane. And also, is it a new kilo class for him? Did he competed in 75 in the USAPL? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just wow, because it's a new kilo class for him. As I remember myself, and I went up from 66 to 74. It wasn't even close progress, even close to that. So this is pretty high progress and pretty high result. So when he put when he did 360 kilo deadlift, yeah, in a Olympic tournament.
Yeah.
It was around there. Yeah.
Yeah, 360. Yeah, that was it.
Wow. So, I was just confused. I don't have a word. So, and he did it with a hook grip. I really jealous to his grip strength of his grip. So because I had grip issue for couple years. So and he did 360 with a hook grip, double overhand hook grip. So I that was the reason to me tried hook grip as well. So I tried and I tried uh, not really successful, but still he
It's
motivated me.
tough, bro. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, it's tough. It's
Wow.
tough.
He motivated me. So yeah, I put him in a second place. If he would did uh at least the same total in a international stage, I would put him in the first place for sure. So yeah, I think second place it's very good for him.
I think that's reasonable for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I like that, and I guess we are time for our number ones, and my number one is Joe Bornstein. So again, this is another one that was like Ilya said it very well. It was complicated to pick number one and two for me. Ultimately, the reason I went number one is just because Joe Bornstein is one of the lifters who you can make it a case for that they're the number one open lifter. Like he is one of the lifters that like forget about juniors. He legitimately is in the conversation. Like I'm not saying I would put him number one, but he definitely deserves to be in the conversation. He hasn't done it at Worlds yet, but he has been battle tested. His meet that he did 865 at, he did it against multiple time world champion Delaney Wallace. He did it against Chris Perez, who also sold 840, which is phenomenal. Like he has done it with great lifters. So the fact that he has the highest total in the 83 class, which is the most competitive class probably in powerlifting right now. There's Russell Orton, there's Delaney Wallace, there's Jurin Shingamu, there's Tim Monagatti. There's just monsters everywhere. There's Adi Amasaki. To be the number one lifter, just based off total, I'm not saying he beat any of them head to head. He's beaten some of them, but to be the strongest by total lifter in the most competitive class, that is something that it has to be my number one junior. Just because there's others who are going to be fighting for open spots, but there's nobody else who I think legitimately is in that conversation for the best open lifter in the world. And that's all I can say for Joe Bornstein. Big Body, who do you got at number one?
Yeah, so I'll follow up with that. I have Joey Bones, the infamous Joey Bones. I give a lot of respect to a young gun who a lot of times I will be the first person to say, but it's a local meet. But there's more elements to this local meet. I hold SBD meets based off their track record, no bias. And the job that the staff behind these SBD meets, what they do and the type of level of refereeing and high quality execution, I hold it to a higher standard than other meets based off of physically being there multiple times. And so because of that, there was not just any chumps there either. And no, I'm not calling no one a chump. Jesus Christ, I have to like literally preface everything on the internet. I'm just saying that there were no pushovers at this meet. Again, you had Chris Perez there. You had Delaney Wallace, one of the most underrated 83s, if not the most underrated 83.
For sure.
And the two-time world champion. Yes, it was in the vacancy of Russ not being in IPF for a couple of years, but he still showed up and won. You had a lot of top level lifters there too, where they were going off of the SBD formula, the percentage. Not only was Daniel Clements there was a lot of, but Delaney Wallace head up there with Chris Perez as well, and he went there as a 21-year-old, and he showed out. think he had a 9-for-9 performance. He executed very well. He put up 865 kilograms at the age of 21, and he bounced back. I was at Junior Nats, and I saw him suffer the injuries or whatever it was that he was going through, or he was hurt on the day. I saw him bounce back from that. And he came back, and he put up a historical performance. So he had performance, he has the total, he has, you could throw in the other formula, the percentage for the world, right? He has the battles. He's battle tested in that with 2 open division 83s, and he beat them as a 21-year-old junior. He's got the GL, he's got the dots. And my only criticism, and it's only because of, I guess you would say, time, is that I need to see this guy on the international platform.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see this guy on. Some Americans may think this, some may not. Some people may see it, some may not. A lot of Americans here, a lot of American athletes and coaches talk about, and I'm not saying that's me. Well, in some cases, actually, I would make the objective argument, but we have seen where we feel like there's a bias towards American athletes, or there may be a target on their execution. And if you just replay the film, you can see objectively, like, there's a blue card, there's a red card, there's a yellow card. Where are you calling that? Right? And I mentioned that to say, I need to see this American young talent, this phenom. I need to see him go. Or maybe there may be a referee. You could never know what a referee's thinking. You can never know what a referee from, Uzbekistan, or a referee from Costa Rica, or a referee from, just a random Thailand, wherever, whoever, just a random country, right? A non-American referee. You do not know what they are thinking in your head. How can we prove if they're biased or not? Right? How do we prove that? Americans, I've heard the argument here in our country that they feel that American athletes are attacked more in terms of refereeing and held to a standard. At the end of the day, there's no excuse. But I'm bringing all this up to be super clear. You can come to the international stage, whether a referee likes you or not, and you could put up incredible totals and be undeniable. That takes the cake. That seals it. That seals it. We also know that, and I'm not going to call a lifter out, or I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody. I'm just saying that we have seen lifters with phenomenal gym totals, and we think every time it's going to be the one. It's going to be the one. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. This is the year. They got your ass. Oh, you're screwed. And they severely underperform. That's happened to multiple lifters. It's not a shot. I'm just saying that objective has happened. So I need to see you get to that top level. Just be there and get it done. And then that seals it. Then we can clearly say there's nothing to argue about. It's clear. That's my only gripe I have. But other than that, I see something from a coaching standpoint, and with my eyes, the amount of film that I watch on a daily basis, I can say that when Joe Borenstein is hot, when he's executing, when he's healthy, when he's strong, he's probably one of the best lifters in the world, and he's on his way. He's a problem. And right now, the best 83s in the open division, I have the best 83s. Spoiler alert. Going into one of them is going to be, or maybe some of them will be on the list. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't thought of the list yet. But Ade is up there. Russ is there. Delaney is there. Jones is there. You can make a case for Tim. There's a bunch of other 83s probably for sure. There's a lot of American 83s. There's a lot of American 83s that have made incredible progress, and they're going to be in that battle in April with Delaney and Bornstein, right? So not looking over anyone. But of all those people I said, you have a 21-year-old that put up the heaviest total. And this is where I have to make an exception. This is where I have to make an exception, and he's doing it as a junior. So with all that talking that I did, I have Joe Borenstein with an 865 kg total. What was the docs?
I don't know. I know his GL was 119.89.
588.
Yeah.
Crazy.
109. When it's that big, when the coefficients are that impressive, I mean, it's like I guess I would call myself a hater if I didn't put him on the list, and I got to give him respect, right? So yeah, I have Joe Bornstein as my number one junior in the world.
Okay, I think that was well said. I don't know what else we could say, but Elliot, your turn.
All right, so I have Joe Bornstein as my number
bad.
one as well. I've been watching Joe Bornstein lift since like 2021. So like back when he was totaling like 700. I competed with him at Teen Nationals back in 2022 when he was still in USAPL. Watching this dude come up has really been a crazy experience to watch. The reason I put him at number one in that Timor for me was, like we were saying, not only open threat, but like open like number one threat. Like not saying he necessarily will. People will say what they want to say, but he has an argument. You know what I mean? Like he has the number one total, obviously. So I mean, you can't really discount that, regardless of what everyone's training looks like. Not only that, he also totaled in this same year, for the record, totaled 820 at 75, at 21 years old. Absolutely crazy to do that. So multi weight class talent as well, which I think is also a thing that we don't see a ton at the moment. Like, to put up, who has totaled 820? Who has totaled it? There's like two people right now that have totaled over 800, or three. My fault. And he'd be like third at 75, obviously, but still, like, he's up there in the 74s, 75s, and then he's up there in the 83s in the same year. And I think that in itself is pretty impressive. So that's why I'm putting him at number one instead of Timor. I think I also have a bias towards the coefficients. Like 584 dots, that's ridiculous. 119.89 GL, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Age 21. Obviously, next year is his last year as a junior, but I think he's born in like December or something. So like probably close to the worst birthday you can have in terms of IPF age divisions. So he's still very young. Had he been born like a month later, he'd have another year. But and if we're talking about the fact that, yes, it was at a local meet, I can't attest to the standards of SBD meets. I've never been to one. But like, if we're going off of like competition, it's not like, even outside, like we talked about the coefficient competition, right? But if we go by the top four coefficient scores of the meet, they were all 83s. So it was a bunch of people in his weight class that were at the top of the meet for good lift points. So like, we have Christopher Perez, Delaney Wallace, Angelo Fortino right below him. And it's not like they had like necessarily like bad days, like 840, 835. I know for Delaney Wallace, that's close to a PR day for him. It's 2.5 under what he did at Sheffield. For Angelo Fortino, it was a PR day. So, and then we have for Christopher Perez, was also a PR day. So
Keep in mind, Delaney was like an inch away from 860.
Right, that's true as well. Yeah.
Say what?
Delaney was an inch away
from
860 on that day.
Right. So like, he had like top level competition, and it's not like top level competition in like, oh, they're not doing as well, oh, they're missing, like they're not doing so great. Like, they had some really good days, and he still managed to come out top with a reasonable lead, and obviously being much younger than all of the people listed, and having just moved into the weight class. I think it's really impressive. I really want to see him do it on the world stage. Whether it'll be the open or the junior, we'll have to wait and see. what exactly happens. Either way, I think he'll definitely be up there on this list again next year, and I think that is also like important. Like you have the number one, and then he's also gonna have a chance to be on this list again next year. So it's not necessarily like it's not like he's like aging out next year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think he has I think he has some things to prove, but I think that he's been against high level competition. It's not like he hasn't competed a lot. He's competed a lot. Been competing since 2018, almost 2018, 2019. Since he was 15, so like 6 years of competing. Was competing pretty consistently a few times a year. Yeah, man, I don't have much else to say. He's a very, very impressive lifter, and I can't wait to see what he does.
I want to touch on something super quick. One, I didn't mention Manson because if you take 40 keys off of Borenstein's total, he still would win. It's that large to where like it has to be that large to where like then I will make the exception of like, yeah, you weren't on the world stage, but it's this big where like even if he messed up by 40 keys, he would still win, right? There's that. Two, I said that Bornstein went 9 for 9. I think he went 8 for 9.
Did he?
Right? Didn't he miss? Did he miss the second?
No, he did not.
Or he chipped it. He chipped it. I think
Yeah,
what they did was like they made I think they went like a big jump to lock in the second, and then they made a small jump just to add on to the third for his bench.
For deadlift?
Bench.
Oh, for bench. Oh yeah, he went 192.5 to
he went perfect. He went perfect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last point is the argument about like I have Nikolai at second and then Borenstein at first because those two are the ones that are, and also
open
Timor
threats.
Are the ones that are like that close to like open threats, right? Like Timor was close. He was close on the open world title against Jesus, right? Still needed more, but he was closer than anyone's ever been. Austin threatened the open world record, right? And was a pull away from it and hit the open world record in training, but obviously it's not the world stage. And that shows even more of the value and the difficulty and the level of the world stage, right? And then obviously Borenstein, he's beat a world champion, he's beat other open talent, and he set the world record. So those three, like I'm just trying to make sure I hit my points and I don't forget them of how I validate my top three, right? Like they're that good in the juniors, and they also are this close or better than the opens. So sorry, I talk a lot.
Okay, Ilya.
I'm excited to hear this one.
I would put on the first place the lifter who did European title. I believe he won European World Championship of this year. Took the silver medal in the open stage, Open World Championship, first medal, and few World Junior and Open records in the Junior World Championship. He actually competed in a bench press single lift as well. It's Timur Sankaradze, obviously. He's a very strong junior lifter. I mean, it's really difficult to grow to grow to the open world record in a super heavyweight kilo classes. So I mean, in the lighter kilo classes, lifter grows a bit quicker and can become close to the open threat in a 20 years old, in a 23 years old. But for the super heavyweight lifter grows a bit slower. So, and he's already in a top two in a history of the super heavyweight lifters. So, uh, also he's already a deadlift open world record holder. He's broke bench press junior world record. He broke squat junior world record. he's strong on everything, and he would get a junior equipment title, I believe, if he would compete there. So I think he's the number one lifter. It was very hard to choose for me between Joey Bolstein, between Timur. Uh, Only reason that's why I choose Timur, just because he showed uh, huge results on the international platform multiple times of the year and multiple times also last year. So and he continued to grow, and that's why I think he should be a number one junior lifter of the year.
Yeah, I think this is a really fair ranking.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I was pretty close in between myself, like in that ranking, just because like he did do it on the international stage. He is an open threat, and if we're talking about like super heavyweights, I feel like it is even more difficult to be like an open threat as a junior in super heavyweight. Like it's a lot harder of a class to like become competitive in, because one, not everyone's meant to do it. I mean, like not everyone can be that big and lift that heavy at the same time. Like it's not the most sustainable thing, but to be able to do it at that age, I think is even rarer. So I think it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I legit think if Joe did like 5 kilos less, like if he had done 860 instead of
I would have
865,
switched
where Adi had the highest total, I would have put Timur one. But just having the
Yeah.
highest total in the 83s, that's what like that was the deciding factor. But it's
Exactly.
extremely cool. I mean, Timur is insane. He literally, obviously, we know he didn't win open world this year, but he pushed Jesus. He made Jesus have to actually hit his lift. Like,
and we see how dominant Jesus is.
Yeah, Jesus had like he didn't. I remember talking to Joey before, and like Jesus had come in, like he knew he's gonna win. He didn't have to worry about it, and like he comes in, and it's like, oh dang, like he actually is gonna have to like of course Jesus could have done more, but like Jesus like had to try, like he got pushed. So, and we're talking Jesus like will go down as one of the greatest lifters of our era or of all time. Like to be pushing that man as a junior, that's respect.
He had to squat 1,000, bench like 573, and then pull like 881. So like he had to go like, what is that in kilos? Like 455 squat.
I know the deadlift is 400. I don't know what the squat is. That's too much weight
like
for me to know.
260, and then he pulled 400. Right? Let me make sure.
Yeah,
it's right on the.
A little bit over 11, I think.
It was 455, 262, 395.
Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, those are like, you know, those
big
numbers. Those are like, he did 1153 kg as his best at Sheffield, and he had to do like it was a little over 11, or was it?
Yeah, 11? It was a little over 11, I think.
So yeah, he pushed him for sure, and that's a very fair pick, Ilya. Like I have no problems with that pick.
Yeah. Okay, so we have actually completed our rankings. Now, I guess if anyone wants to say like a quick like 1 minute or 2 minute message either about your rankings or just to everyone who's watching before we wrap up. So Big Body, you always got something to say. So give us some knowledge, some wisdom, you know? Tell all the listeners, give some wisdom to whoever.
I kind of hit this home last time. I want to hit it again, especially for the young lifters. Just again, when you see these top level lifters, man, especially when they're so young, when you see someone like Elliot Sykes, who's a sub junior doing his doing, or Ilya or anyone else, like these guys they have great abilities, but they also work really hard and they're incredibly dedicated. And like, even with all the abilities they have, they're not maximizing their abilities if they don't stay dedicated, stay hungry, come into the gym when they don't feel like it, when it's a rainy day, all that stuff you already heard, right? Like, keep your inspiration and keep lifting for the reasons that make you happy and that make you come into the gym. And make sure that when you see these top level athletes, make sure that you understand like there are lifters out there that no one thought that they could be high caliber. There are lifters out there that have worked their butts off and became, elite level as well. It's not often, but I know that I will never I know I don't believe I'll ever touch what a 19-year-old Nonso could at 93, right? Or at 120 kg, right? But I still enjoy my progression. I still enjoy coming in the gym. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy everything that comes with it, all the good that comes with it, right? And it keeps me hungry and passionate, and it keeps my drive. So I just want all the young lifters to know, like, just because you see these high level lifters doing what they're doing, appreciate it, and then try to learn from it and take pieces from that can add to the value of your experience when you powerlift. Don't let that take away from you, and be grateful for all that we have. We're phenomenal lifters, and we have the opportunity to still go into the gym and get better and get stronger. And you never know, if you believe in yourself. There's lifters that really believe in themselves, and they've worked themselves to super high levels. So I just wanted to make sure I keep hitting on that message. I really want lifters to understand that we need more talent. We need more people that doesn't think they're talent but wants to work hard and can get to that level. Keep lifting, keep working to the higher levels, stay inspired, stay hungry.
Okay, well said. All I would say is just, I mean, any lifter who made this list or was even considered on this list, if they were top 10, if they were honorable mentions, if they were even discussed, like, you should just realize how incredible that is. This list is like, we're talking crazy lifters. There are people who didn't even make this list that if we were talking 5 years ago, they would have been winning best lifter. No joke. Like, they'd be winning world championships, they'd be winning best lifter. Like, to make this list is incredibly difficult, and it's like incredibly impressive. Every person on this list is either going to be an open threat the second they age into the open, or if not that, like it'll just take a little bit of time, and they'll be podiuming, they'll be representing their countries on the international stage. So I think it's just amazing, all these lifters. So everyone who made the list, huge congratulations. And everyone who's coming close or who's watching this and wants to make the list, like, just keep working. Like, there's people who are really close, and like, you might have another year, another 2, 3, 4 years, and like, just keep putting in the work. Like, there are a lot of people who are really close, and they will make this list in the future. And just keep doing what you're doing.
You know,
Elliot, you got something?
I mean, you said it perfectly. Like everyone mentioned, everyone, even people not mentioned. Like we have a list that Mike was kind to give it to us of like a lot of the lifters that were scouted. Like everyone on that, like a lot, like over half of them weren't mentioned, but all of them, I think, like pretty much all of them. If let me double check. Yeah, like every single lifter here, well over 500 dots, or at least a decent bit over 500 dots. Almost every single one over 100 GL points. Into like the best lifter category, even for this year, like within a few points of it. So like, it was that close, like that close. So yeah, I mean, really impressive list this year. We're seeing more and more competitiveness in the lower age groups as we go forward.
Okay, Ilya, you got any message?
So, level of the IPF results, especially in classic, grow very, very fast, especially in the junior divisions. So, like when Elliot broke junior world, sub junior world record in a 60, was it 60 kilos above?
But how much I broke it by?
Yeah.
I broke it by the sub junior one.
Yeah.
I think I broke it by 110.
110 kilos.
I believe so. I'm not sure.
make sure.
Thank you.
Actually,
I don't want to boast
kilos.
myself and be wrong. That would be embarrassing.
Actually, 200 kilos. I obliterated.
I wish. Oh,
But
I
still,
wish.
you know, to broke world record in 50 kilos, it's a huge 100. It's a pretty insane. When you broken a world record so much, it's in your age class, and you was pretty close to break junior total world record in the last deadlift. So, uh, and also a lot of other lifters in the sub junior who also very strong. especially in the 53 kilo class. I competed in the 53, and it was hard to me to make 450 kilo total. But now it's not even close to the podium place. So uh, this class just just fly out in the results. Also 120 plus kilo class. I mean, classic is a pretty young division, and it's growing up very close. We are not seeing this progress in equipment because equipment is a pretty old division. Uh, but still, all these guys in this list, yeah, I told you about sub junior. Junior also progressing very fast. We can see, yeah, we can see uh, breaking world records in uh, for every for every year. How many records we have?
Broken this year? I could not tell you, but let me.
So it's
A lot.
A lot,
yeah,
yeah, a lot.
20. It's more than 20 for sure. So I wish to continue this progress, to continue to grow for everyone lifter, not only this list, but for everyone who watching the stream, who just training, who who play who planning to come to the powerlifting, who just walking in the gym, just because powerlifting is a good sport. It's a really strong sport. Yeah, uh, I I know many weightlifters will hate me, but still, weightlifting is more like art. It's very difficult technique, very difficult movement. Powerlifting is especially classic powerlifting. It's the more root strength, and this traditional strength, this traditionally good sport. I mean, and so yeah, this is it.
Okay, that was a great message. So thank you very much, all of you guys, for coming on. This is a great show. And then if you guys, whoever's still listening, thank you very much for listening. This was a phenomenal podcast. The juniors were phenomenal. And yeah, the rankings 2024. Thank you very much.